$1,000 cash stash on ESPN Upstate. Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Check 1 2 check 1. Yeah, I had the mic muted because I'm finishing up WandaVision, and Zoe didn't want to listen to it.
Yeah,
because he has to work and
Yeah.
can't watch TV on his own couch whenever he wants to.
I had to make sure that I didn't look at your face either while you were watching, because I didn't want to see any reactions. It's unfair, but you know what? I can wait. I think I've already been spoiled though, so we'll see.
No, you haven't. Guarantee you haven't.
Things that have been trending, which I have to check.
Gotcha.
There's a couple things that could be total coincidence, but it
Gotcha.
wouldn't shock. I'm not looking at details as to why these things are trending, but maybe a little bit spoiled, but I'll be all right.
We'll see. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is right here on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. How do you do? It is great to be with you on a Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Busy weekend in the world of sports. Upcoming, the NBA All-Star Game is this weekend. Our teams were drafted last night. Are you going to watch it? I am, without question. I'll tell you why. Coming up in just a few minutes. Alex Smith developing story out of the WTF WFT. We'll talk about that. NASCAR going to spin some circles on the asphalt out in Las Vegas this weekend. I got your picks for me anyway, coming up. Big news out of the UFC we'll get into with Lonzo coming up in a few minutes. The Charlotte Hornets might be making some money moves right now. LaMelo Ball has been balling out the last couple of weeks, and now MJ and the gang are potentially looking to pair him up with a two-time All-Star if they can get a move made. Will they be able to? We'll talk about that in just a minute. And more news out of Deshaun Watch 2021. Bum. Tell you what that news is coming up here in just a minute from right now. We want you to be a part of the show, and you can do it at 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us at 71307, 71307. You can also shoot us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show, at ESPN Upstate, at Lonzo on Word, all the different Twitter handles for you to use today. And, of course, we want you to join us on the stream. We are streaming live every day. Every day we streaming live. Go to Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Go to Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or search The Rob Brown Show on the YouTube device. And you can pull us up. By the way, Lonzo, and I found this out yesterday, which I'm kind of jazzed about. I found out yesterday that if you have the YouTube app on your telephone, or your televisional device, if you have the YouTube app on your televisional device, it turns out you can go to youtube.com/The Rob Brown Show, or just search the Rob Brown Show on YouTube. You can open it, and you, Lonzo, can watch us on television. How about that? You can watch us on TV as you sit there. So if you're in the office and you're going, Rob, I can't always get the show. I got a lot going on, but you got like CNN or Fox or MSNBC, some boring old news stuff up on your smart TV. Put on the YouTube app, search The Rob Brown Show. You can throw Lonzo and I right there up on the wall at the place that you work. Not only will you get the best 3 hours of sports talk entertainment coming your way every day, but on top of that, every customer and client that walks into your house or into your apartment or your complex or wherever it is that you're doing work, they're going to look at me, Alonzo, on TV, and they're going to go, wow, this guy, this gal, this boss right here have incredible taste in entertainment, having these two young men up on their television, providing them 3 hours of exceptional comment every single day. Just coming with the fire content. Lonzo, we're just out here making the world a better place, buddy. It's kind of what we do.
That's an amazing, amazing thing. And you know what's even cooler is if you are a place where people are coming in to get, let's say, hair restoration done, like, plugs or something like that. You can have us up on the screen and go, this is what you could look like if you buy our product.
I'm not even mad about it. You're right. You're right. Even though I'm wearing a hat, it doesn't matter. You can still tell. I got to tell you, I almost advise against you putting the video from the YouTube stream up on your TV at your place of work, because I'm not entirely sure it's legal to have this much good looking contained on one television at the same time. Eat your heart out. Whatever your name is, lead singer of Maroon 5, Rob Brown's coming to a TV near you. That's all I'm saying.
Just keep your shirt on. Just keep your shirt on. That's all that matters. They'll be swooning if you don't. You don't want swooning.
I don't have the sweet chest tattoos yet, so there's no point in going topless just yet. So anyway, join the stream. Facebook.com/The Rob Brown Show. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. And search us on YouTube as well. You can go to Twitter.com/ESPN Upstate as well, as I am about to retweet the link out there so you can make sure you check that out. Want you to be a part of the program. 844-477-3776. 844-GSPESPN. Text to 71307. Join the stream. All the different ways to be a part of the show. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is the start of the show officially. So let us, though, officially start the show.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented. You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
The lunch breakdown. It is time to talk about the three biggest things going on in the world of sports. All three things that you will want to know about before you have lunch with your friends, family, coworkers of the wall, whoever you spend your lunch break with. Here are the things that you have to know before you go sit down for your midday snacky snack. We start in the NBA last night. Team LeBron, Team Durant, those two guys drafted their squads last night. The past 2 years, LeBron James could not have Giannis Antetokounmpo on his NBA All-Star team because the two of them were captains of their respective squads. But this year, KD, Kevin Durant, the Durantula, got the other captaincy opposite James and made sure that LeBron would get the first pick. Who did LeBron go? James said, quote, "I just try to pick players that can complement one another. We're out on the floor, just try to play the game the right way. It's an all-star game, so it's going to be some shenanigans out there. But for the majority of the game, we just play the right way and try to get a dub." He then selected, yes indeed, Giannis Antetokounmpo as his co-number one on that squad. The leading vote getters from the East and Western conferences went back and forth in selecting the remaining starters for Sunday's game in the ATL, as voted on by a combination of fans, players, and media members. James and Durant each then chose 7 reserves. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. James went with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic. And I got to tell you, I kind of love that squad. James squad, -3.5 on the money line. They're 3.5-point favorite, and I have taken them to cover that 3.5. I would never bet on an all-star game until I decided to bet on an all-star game, and this one's an easy pick for me. Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, and Giannis Antetokounmpo might be the best 5 to ever get it together on a basketball court. Durant's starting group will be his Brooklyn Nets teammate Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid from the 76ers, Kawhi Leonard from the Clippers, and Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum out there as well. In the reserve round, Durant's first pick was his other teammate, James Harden, followed by Devin Booker, Big Z, Zion Williamson in his first All-Star game, Zach Levine, Julius Randle, Nikolai Vucevic, Damian Lillard, Ben Simmons, Chris Paul, Jaylen Brown, Paul George, Sabonis, and Gobert. And LeBron's team just looks good. I think the reserves are probably better for KD, but the starters for LeBron's team are quite solid, ladies and gentlemen.
Has LeBron ever picked a bad team? But I gotta agree, this one's pretty good.
Good, right?
It really is.
Really good.
Is.
Really good.
This should be the Olympic team right there.
Legit, it might be. I mean, it could be. I don't think. I want to say Nikolai Jokic still plays international ball elsewhere, but yeah, I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo plays for Greece too, so yeah, I mean, he's 3/5 of it could be. But Luka Doncic, Larry Bird 2.0. These guys look incredible, man. Incredible lineups. So we talked about this earlier this week, but are you in for the NBA's All-Star game? It is Sunday night, so it's up against AEW Revolution. So you got to make a pick there. I got to tell you, I will be utilizing the multiple screens this weekend on Sunday specifically, because while there was a part of me, for whatever reason, there was a part of me all week that's watching the TNT commercials, and they're like, it's the wildest pickup game in history. And then I look at the teams drafted last night, and I'm like, dude, this is going to be redonk, man. I am in. Let's go.
I am going to implement that thing called DVR, and I'm going to record the All-Star game, and I'll watch it later.
I ain't mad about it.
Like the next day, while doing some cardio, I will watch it. That way I can get past some of the other stuff. And it's not like the game matters. And as long as they come out of the game unscathed, no one gets hurt, it doesn't matter, but it is a lot of fun. And I am interested in what it's going to be like with no fans there.
Yeah, and by the way, and this is kind of cool. I do like this. Remember, it's all extravaganza because you've got the skills competition and the three-point shooting contest before the game, first half of the game. The dunk contest will actually be the halftime entertainment, followed by the second half of the game. I'm all in, man. Why not? I'm all in. I got to tell you, I think it's going to be cash money. On the text line, 71307 at ESPN, Adam Levine. Is it Levine, right? Adam Levine is the lead singer of Maroon 5. I'm just saying,
Levine, yes.
If you put Zoe and I on your YouTube app, on your television, and watch us at your home or your place of work, you will see that I have an uncanny resemblance to Adam Levine. He's just missing like 1 or 2 points to be as good looking as I am. That's all I'm saying. I
don't know if I can agree or disagree with you.
Yes.
Safely.
Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. The Baltimore Ravens are a team that I have never really liked. I don't have respect for their front office. I'm not a big fan of their team.
Forget the stinking Baltimore Ravens, because they used to be Cleveland Browns. They left in the middle of the night and left Cleveland high and dry. So
they did do that.
Stinking losers.
They did do that. That is correct. This may soften your stance on the Baltimore Ravens just a touch, Lonzo, potentially. The NFL's overtime rules as they stand right now run 1,120 words long and have to be re-explained to teams and players and fans every time an NFL game goes into overtime. Welp, the Baltimore Ravens are trying to save us from the chaos of NFL overtime games. They are planning to introduce a retooling of NFL's overtime rules. And the system that they are putting into play, Zoe, is called spot and choose. Here's how it would work. In short, one team would win a coin toss and then decide where they want to place the ball on the football field. Then the other team gets to decide if they want to play offense or defense. So it's the old you learn this trick when you're growing up with siblings, right? You got a big chunk of cake. Mom brings home a big chunk of cake, and she says, "You boys share this." And you and the little brother have to decide, all right, we're going to split the cake. The easiest way to make sure that it's split right is what? Younger brother splits the cake. Older brother gets to decide what piece he wants. This would be the NFL version of that. I split the cake right down the middle, even pick. If I cut one size bigger than the other, the older brother's going to take it. Well, Team A would pick a spot on the field. Let's say for hypothetical, the offense's 35-yard line. Team B then gets to decide, do I want to play offense or do I want to play defense? Do I want to play offense and try to drive 65 for a touch, or do I want to play defense and try to hold Team A from driving those 65 yards? Team A can't just pick the defense's 1-yard line, because then Team B would just say, okay, we're going to play offense with a yard to go. Team B can't put the ball on the defensive 10-yard line, because then the other team is going to say, all right, your ball, go ahead, give us a shot. 90-yard drive, we think we can stop you. After one team takes possessions, the Ravens will offer two proposals. One is sudden death. First team to score wins with 10 minutes of game clock. The other would be to keep the game going as normal for 7 minutes and 30 seconds with no sudden death component. Obviously, that would mean we just play football for 7.5 more minutes. You're basically adding a 7.5 minute period to the game with the offense or defense starting it out, and then we just play 7.5 minutes of football just like normal. Rumors are, according to Jay Busby of Yahoo Sports, a gentleman that we've had on this show many, many times, Bill Belichick reportedly favors the option of let's just play football for 7.5 minutes and see where it goes. Zoe, are you on board for this idea, or do you think it's a bad one?
It's awfully complicated. I mean, there's so much in that, but I do like the playing for 7 minutes and 47. How'd they come up with that?
Great question. No idea. I don't know. It's just being reported that is the plan. Jay Busby did not get into detail about where that plan came from.
That's a selling point for me. I like that.
Sure.
Just get out there and play and find out what happens.
Yeah. So instead of a kickoff to start the period, the team that wins the coin toss would get to place the ball anywhere on the field they want. The other team then gets to decide, do you want to play offense? Do you want to play defense? Going to get into a lot of strategy, right? If your team is really, really good defensively, you might be intrigued about putting the ball closer to your end zone, enticing the other team to play some defense and give your offense a chance with your defense there to clean up the mess. And obviously that might change on the other end. That might change if we are going to play 7.5 minutes of football as opposed to first team to score wins. So really interesting concept. We'll keep an eye on that. And finally, item number 3 in the lunch break down. Another ESPN mock draft is out. Todd McShay has put out his mock draft for ESPN, and his theory for the Carolina Panthers is as follows, and I quote, Carolina is closer to competing than its 5-11 record suggested, and a real game breaker under center would go a long way toward getting the Panthers there. Teddy Bridgewater was more of a game manager last season, especially down the stretch, throwing only 4 more touchdowns than interceptions. Justin Fields can make off-schedule throws or tuck it and run, and he has shown poise when he hangs in the pocket too. Accuracy pops on his deep balls. Todd McShay Lonzo has the Panthers trading all the way up into the spot of the Miami Dolphins in order to draft quarterback Justin Fields, Ohio State University. Zoe, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, I have major bias, so of course I'm saying thumbs up, because I've been saying that all along, that that's who they need to go with. But I was hoping that he would drop to them at 8. But if that's your guy, that's who you want. Move up and get him. Don't give up too much, though. And I don't know how much is too much.
Question is exactly what you just said. How much is too much for that move up? I told you that I thought there's a better than decent chance that the Panthers will jump up 3 to 5 spots in order to make sure that one of the quarterbacks is on the board. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Those are your 5 quarterbacks, and I truly do believe that all 5 of them will be off the board at number 10, by number 10, and all but one might be off the board by the Panthers selection at number 8. This is a quarterback-heavy draft, and I think there will be a run early in the day.
I got to say this, and I've never really considered this before. If Justin Fields were the draft pick and becomes the starter of the Panthers, I might have to look into getting season tickets.
I ain't mad about it.
And I've been to a bunch of Panthers games, but I've never considered getting season tickets. But this would do that for me.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a mighty pickup. The question's going to be, if they do go in that direction, what is next? So we'll break that down later on in the show. We'll run out to a break, get back on the clock. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us at 71307, 71307. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, at ESPN Upstate. And join us on the stream, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. The Rob Brown Show on Twitter, and YouTube us at The Rob Brown Show. You can put that up on your TV with the YouTube app. Quick break. We're back after this. You're listening to ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a favorite for 24/7 real, unfiltered sports talk.
It's live read time with Lonzo. How about that? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will return very briefly for segment number 2. If you are watching, first off, hello. Throw some chats up there. Throw them in whatever platform you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever. If you got any comments, thoughts, considerations, any topics you want us to bring up on air, drop them in the chat stream. I'll see them when we come back. Stick around, y'all. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show is streaming live to the world. BRB.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. A busy weekend for NASCAR. It all gets going Friday with the trucks being in action. Then on Saturday, the Xfinity Series. And Sunday, it is the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube as the NASCAR Cup Series runs a full weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the Cup Series. Denny Hamlin is currently in first place.
A horrible thing to deal with
is
is allergies, and you have to deal with them. In my case, I cannot take medication while I'm at work because even the non-drowsy stuff messes me up to the point where I can't do it.
Up on Sunday, he'll be joined in
This is the first time in a while where it's affected me when I start talking and go into a coughing fit.
Michael McDowell and Denny Hamlin in row 3.
But you know,
download the Score app today.
I
Lightning
will get
fast
past
sports
that.
alerts so you never miss a thing.
Don't know of any
Score app is one of North
short-term
America's
remedies
most
that are
popular sports
non-medical
apps. With
while
your
you're
ESPN
at
Update
work,
Sports Center update,
other than
I'm
the
Matt
old
Ball.
tried and true, although they come out with other stuff. But my aunt would always tell me to snort salt water, which I would tell you hurts really, really, really bad.
Two things.
But
One,
it
I
works.
missed all the good conversation, and two, the commercials are still playing.
We got a lot of-
FYI, sir. There we go.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of my live. I had the allergies hit me.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I muted myself. So y'all just heard me snort Afrin like an adult.
Maybe I need to try some of that. Maybe that. Although I've tried it before and it messes me up too. I have a weird
This
physiology
I don't
or
think
something.
This has any drugs in it. Oxymetazoline hydrochloride is the only drug in here, which I believe is basically like
Salt.
ionized salt water. Yeah. Let's Google that just because I'm curious.
30 seconds.
Not enough time to Google it. Oxymetalazone hydrochloride. There it is. All right. Hydrochloride salt.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and everywhere on the radio.com app.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world. On your radio.com app, put it on all of your digital devices. And don't miss a minute of the Rob Brown Show with Rob and Lonzo, a minute of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel, and of course on the stream, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, and at The Rob Brown Show on the YouTubes. All the ways to get in touch with us, 844-GSP-ESPN. To get in on the show, text to 71307, 71307. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word. That is how you can be a part of the broadcast. Breaking news from the NBA. Breaking news, of course, brought to you here on ESPN Upstate by BetQL. Get smarter. Beat the books with BetQL. Put the BetQL app on your phone and make sure you are ahead of the game. It has just been reported by ESPN that Blake Griffin has agreed to a buyout from the Detroit Pistons. He will no longer be a Piston. He is now a unrestricted free agent. Six-time NBA All-Star Blake Griffin is now on the free agency radar. Has interest from most of the NBA's playoff contenders. Is expected to make a decision on his next team after conversations with multiple teams. Griffin was owed $36.6 million this season and a $39 million payout for next season. That was a huge restriction on the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons finalized a reduction in his remaining salary to gain free agency. And so he is now on his way to, somewhere else. We are going to find out where that is. We'll see where those details play out down the road. So the Panthers, according to ESPN's latest mock draft, will jump up in the draft in order to change spots with the Miami Dolphins to select Justin Fields, expected to be the third quarterback off the board, I think, as Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence will go second and first, respectively. There have been a lot of folks, Zoe and I have had this conversation a few times, that believe that Zach Wilson might turn out to be a better NFL quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. I don't personally believe that, but the logic there certainly follows for the argument to be sound, if nothing else. But the Jets are looking for their next quarterback. Sam Darnold still appears to be very much available for trade, which would mean that Zach Wilson is likely to go number 2 to New York as they look for their next franchise QB, which means that you are likely going to see a QB run start at that spot. A QB run, starting with QBs off the board at 1 and 2. Miami is, I don't know if they stick with Tua Tagovailoa. If Carolina does trade up to Miami, that to me, Lonzo, signifies that the Miami Dolphins consider themselves one or two things. Either one, happy with Tua Tagovailoa at that spot, or two, and again, this is if they do make the trade and if the Panthers jump up, the other thing it signifies is that the Panthers might consider themselves the Dolphins consider themselves the front runner for the services of Deshaun Watson if the Texans do agree to trade him away. The other thing it does for me, and says that the Carolina Panthers are one of two things. A, truly believers in the ultimate capacity of Justin Fields to be an NFL quarterback, or B, they just don't believe that there is a possibility that they end up with Deshaun Watson. If this trade happens before draft day, Lonzo, if this trade goes down before draft day, it leads me to believe that the Texans are going to be happy It leads me to believe that either the Texans are going to be happy to leave Deshaun Watson at home with him sitting out on his contract and are happy to ride with Tua Tagovailoa into the future, or number two, the Dolphins have already got something cooking for Deshaun Watson. They know it, and they are going to package the Panthers' 8 selection instead of their number 3 in order to backlog some more draft capital over the next few years to make up for what they will lose by sending a pair of first-round picks at the least over to Houston for Deshaun Watson. Either way, though, if we have Mayock and ESPN believing that Carolina moves up in the draft, it basically screams to me that Deshaun Watson will not be in Charlotte next season.
See, I always wonder, how much does McShay know? I mean, as far as, is this him speculating, or how much inside knowledge does he have? How many people have he talked to inside the Panthers organization or other organizations to believe that this is going to happen? I got to believe that dude is well connected and probably has heard some things, or he wouldn't have changed his mock draft. So this, I mean, how often does this not happen when they come up with this stuff? I think it happens more times than not. So this looks a lot more probable. I still don't believe Deshaun's going anywhere, and maybe Miami is happy with the quarterback they have. I know you can look at it and go, how could they be? Yep. But we haven't seen enough. We haven't seen him on the field enough.
I agree. Tua Tagovailoa is a guy with question marks about him. There ain't no doubt about that. We saw him last year look really good in some spots and then completely fall apart in some other spots. So there's absolutely question marks about the dude, no doubt about it. But again, I will say, regardless of what you think is going on behind the scenes, when you have either Mayock or Kuiper or any of these big-time guys with Espen, Shefty, whoever, start to make moves like this on their mock draft board, you can not a ton, but you can read into it that they at least have some bit of information. And if they do have some bit of information available to them, I would say, unfortunately, that this puts a bit of a damper on the idea that Deshaun Watson might be a Carolina Panther next season. It is not as likely now as I had hoped it would be even just yesterday. We will keep talking about that throughout the course of the show. Got to take a break. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us 71307. Do you think, are you optimistic at all that Deshaun Watch 2021, might end up with number 4 in the Carolinas? Or is this a signal that the chances Deshaun going to the Panthers have dropped and they are ready to make their next move regardless? What's your thoughts? We're back after this. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Oh, man, what a day, America. Thanks again for those of y'all watching the stream. Remember, you can share it around social media if you like me. You can share it around social media and help us grow this thing. Like I said, my goal is officially to basically to turn this thing into a community that interacts behind the scenes, right? The reason that I like this stream so much is the fact that we can interact behind the scenes. We can engage with each other. in a way that is just something unique, I think, and new and different. And we want y'all to do it. So again, if you think there's anybody out there that would like to engage in what we're doing here on the show, please send them our way, man. Send them our way.
I agree with Greg. It's quiet today, but it is Friday. It's sunny out, and this is still fairly new.
It really is.
And so, like you're saying, let people know about it, and we'll get more and more on here. I do have a question for you, Rob.
Okay.
What was your favorite cartoon growing up?
Well, that's an impossible question. My favorite cartoon growing up. Dude, I don't know how to answer that.
All right, so I've narrowed my my bracket on my show on Saturdays down to 64.
Okay.
But I'm willing to get rid of some things. So I'm asking people to throw out some cartoons in there, and I will see if it's better than some of the ones that I picked.
The OG animated Transformers
in there.
Okay. I still love the Hanna-Barbera. I think if you're going to go Hanna-Barbera, I mean, you could do a whole bracket just on Hanna-Barbera cartoons, but I think you got to take the GOATs, right? Jetsons, Flintstones.
Both in there. Yogi Bear.
Pink Panther.
See, I don't know about Pink Panther though, because
I don't think so.
Because I didn't put Pink Panther in there because it's not. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it exactly.
It's kind of more of a cult following than a mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I saw most of the Pink Panther cartoons I saw was before drive-in movies.
Yeah. G.I. Joe.
In there.
You got do you have modern contemporary adult cartoons? Bob's Burgers, Family Guy.
Family Guy's in there. Simpsons is in there. I do not have Bob's Burgers.
I would absolutely add Bob's Burgers. That has.
You are the only person I know that watches Bob's Burgers.
Come on, no, I'm not.
Yes,
absolutely, you're wrong.
Well, you're the only person I know that aware of.
You're that's more about me than the cartoon.
Well, yeah, there's that. No, you're the only person I'm aware of that watches that. In my circle of nerds, they've never mentioned Bob's Burgers.
Oh, Stethakis with the Killer.
Both on there.
Phineas and Ferb. I got to tell you straight up, as an adult with no kids, Phineas and Ferb is an all-time cartoon, man.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Text keyword ESPN and your message to 71307. Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. 844-477-3776 is the number to be a part of the program. So we mentioned it earlier in the show. Our all-star teams are drafted. Those all-star teams drafted last night by Kevin Durant and LeBron James, the top two vote getters. And I got to tell you, I have gone in the course of probably 4 days, Lonzo, I went from meh to, yeah, I'm watching that. I'm absolutely tuning in to the All-Star game at this point. They selected the squads last night from the starters and the reserves. Check out the starters that we're working here. Now, Kevin Durant is injured, so KD will not be playing in the All-Star game, and he had to replace himself. So the lineup that KD is opening with, Bradley Beal from the Wiz, Joel Embiid from the Sixers, Kyrie from the Nets, Kawhi Leonard from the Clippers, and Jason Tatum of the Celtics. Now, that's not a terrible starting five, but listen to the starting five for Team LeBron. The starting five for Team LeBron is ridiculous. Ridiculous. The starting five for LeBron are LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is easily the best passing big man I have ever seen. How good is he, Rob? Well, I'm glad you asked, disembodied voice of a Johnny Carson character. Let me tell you how good he is. Nikola Jokic, 27.1 a game, 11 boards per game, and he is 1.4 assists per game as a big man, Lonzo, from averaging a triple-double at the NBA's mid-season point. He is what? Now, you might go and you might say, well, Rob, going from 8.6 assists per game to the 10 necessary to average a triple-double, that's a lot to ask, right? And the answer is, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. That's why averages are important. They float up and down, but by not all that much. Except for Nikola Jokic has had an 18-assist game so far this season. He has multiple 13-plus assist games this season. Nikola Jokic tossing up 11 assists is not a rare feat. And y'all, he plays a big man. If I told you there was a shooting forward averaging 27, 11, and 8.5, you'd go, that's not bad from a shooting. This is a big man, a legit big man. Earlier this morning, I guess I can talk about this. Earlier this morning, Lonzo, I did an audition to host a nationally syndicated sports gambling show. And I got asked on that show whether I would bet Nikola Jokic to be the NBA's MVP or whether I would bet Joel Embiid if I had to pick one of those two cats. And the answer to me was easily Jokic. Easily Jokic. I think that narrative drives the NBA MVP conversation. And I think the NBA MVP conversation right now surrounds Joel Embiid's finally reaching the level of hype that he came into the league with. And a lot of that has to do with the 76ers being a garbage franchise for the past few years. But now that the 76ers are number one in the East, all of a sudden everybody's talking Joel Embiid. They should be. The guy's having a ridiculous year. But the reality of that situation is that the 76ers are overperforming in an Eastern Conference that is underperforming largely. A lot of injury concerns when I look around at the Miamis and the Bostons of the world. They will be back, and those 76ers are not going to outpace. Plus, on top of that, the 76ers are the number one team in the East. Their record is only 3 games better than the Denver Nuggets, who are currently 6th in the West. 3 games. That's the difference between 1st in the East and 6th in the West. If the Nuggets were in the East, they would be the number 1 seed, and I think voters take that into consideration. With all those things put together, with the fact that just about every statistic right now is pretty much tied between Embiid and Jokic. Because those numbers are basically tied, with the exception of the assist, and with the assist right now, there is a 6 assists per game difference between Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. And with Jokic's assist ability, able to open up the field for Michael Porter Jr., able to open up the field for Jamal Murray, who has been a stud and is averaging 22 points per game. To me, Nikola Jokic is your MVP. I then add him to Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic leading the floor with Steph Curry guarding behind the arc. I had to tell you, Zoe, this game's going to be a lot of fun, but Team LeBron is going to run away from this because they're going to be up about 15 points by the time we start seeing guys sub into the All-Star game.
Yeah, the other thing is, it seems like LeBron wants to win this thing, and he, as you talked about earlier, he set this up as a team. He's looking at what his starting 5 can do, and they should be dominant if they take it serious. Depending on how serious they take it, it's an all-star game. They're not going to go 100%. They go 75%, though, they should blow the other team away. We thought that in the past before, too, and they've kept it kind of close. One thing's for sure, as it always is the case in an all-star game, is there's going to be a lot of scoring. if one of these teams decides to play defense, which it would seem that LeBron's team has the more capable people to do so, then they should win easily.
Yeah, I look at these two teams, and here's what I see. LeBron built a team. Kevin Durant built an all-star roster, right? I mean, I look at the starting five for LeBron's team. I can have Steph run the 1, Luka run the 2, Giannis or LeBron run the 3 or the 4, Nikolai at the 5. When I look over at Durant's team, I got Bradley Beal and Kyrie Irving, who both play the 1 and can play the 2. I'm not blown away because those guys aren't going to share the ball well up there, right? Bradley Beal's the leading scorer in the NBA. Kyrie Irving, not a big fan of sharing the love. Joel Embiid v. Nikola Jokic down in the paint is an even matchup to me. I like Kawhi Leonard, but Kawhi's load management, he is not the Kawhi Leonard from last year. He's a long shot to win the MVP. And I like Jason Tatum a lot, but he doesn't fit in with the rest of those guys to me. Every one of those guys, and then I go to the bench, Devin Booker out of Phoenix, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell. He's got a bunch of guys that can score the ball well, but LeBron has a better team put together. Now, I'll be real with you here, Zoe. I'm pulling for Team KD because Team KD took Zion. And I want Zion to get a dub in his first All-Star game. So I am Team KD because I'm Team Zion here. But LeBron put together a hell of a team. Kevin Durant put together a hell of a list of guys who can score the basketball.
I think Zion needs to be careful, though. I think he's going to get pranked. You know, there's always that one kid in their first All-Star game. Yeah. It's it's going to be Zion. And he's going to have a big smile on his face and probably not see it coming.
Zion, here's my question. Is Zion going to play bully ball in this All-Star game like he does in a regular season? If Zion goes out there and plays bully ball, he might tick off some All-Stars who are out there to get a paycheck and have a little bit of fun. But if he goes out there and he puts his head down and plays bully ball like he does down in the blender in regular season, Zion might mess some folks up, man. Although, you know what we might get in this, which I'm kind of pumped about? Zion v. Bron. I would love to see Zion v. LeBron. Zion with the ball, LeBron playing defense and vice versa. Those two guys, because LeBron's the type of dude to me that even when it's all-star time, LeBron's the type of dude to me that will still play the game to win it. In fact, he said last night, he's like, look, we're coming to win this game. If LeBron decides to play basketball and Zion decides to play basketball, those two dudes going head-to-head down low, that'll be fun to watch.
Well, and LeBron also gets the clique culture, the psychology behind the game. If he goes one-on-one with him, we're going to get all these passing of the torch things, and is LeBron done? So it's just a matter of whether he wants to or not. I hope he does, because I definitely want to see it.
844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo one word, at ESPN Upstate, and join the stream at Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Quick break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Y'all, I have a new man crush of a former quarterback in the NFL, and don't worry, Lonzo, we're not talking Tom Brady stuff again yet. We might later, though. Tell you why Jay Cutler endeared himself to me over the weekend. Back after this in The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're listening.
All right, I got the next thing I have to do, Zoe, is I have to figure out how to share a picture on the screen. I can share a video file, but I don't think I can share a picture. Nope, can't do that. But I want to be able to.
There is a way around that, but I don't know if you can save the picture as a video.
As a video, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to remember to change the banners when we're on the air. There we go. All right, Phineas and Ferb, great cartoon. I know you've already seen it, Zoe, but I have to say it anyway. If you have not seen the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars movie, it is legendary, dude. Absolutely legendary.
Just about everything that show did was good.
The Marvel one was really good, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rare, at least so far. There's several people I've talked to coming up with cartoons that I don't have on the list. I noticed that Underdog was mentioned before. I'm putting that on possibly the play-in because I may do a play-in. We did this last year because we couldn't narrow it down, so we did a play-in, and we had like 4 for the play-in. I really loved Underdog, but it's like right on the edge of demo. Although on 106.3 the demo's a lot older there, so I get more people my age and a little bit older. It actually varies. I get a lot of other young people too, just because of what the show's about. But so Underdog possibly might make the list. We'll see. Did you do it?
All right. Well, I figured out how to share the screen. So
that's weird.
Check this out. This was a picture I got yesterday. We're on TV, Lonzo.
That's cool.
And that's sweet. Cool.
Yeah, me showing the huge neck. Look at that.
Well, I mean, you do all those neck exercises, though. You might as well.
I have found once you do something to get your neck big, as I did back in the day, it doesn't really.
It doesn't go back.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And in my case, the neck is necessary to hold up the gargantuan head. I mean, you don't want a pencil neck trying to hold this thing up, or you're going to be walking sideways. And I don't want to do that. You run into things when you do that. That was cool that you were able to share that, though.
Yeah, which is really cool.
So now let's say someone sends in an interesting picture.
We can share it.
And talk about it. And that's all kinds of, I mean, this thing is, there's no way we've used all the tools that are at our fingertips for the StreamYard yet.
No, not at all. I'm working on it.
Yeah, you're finding a bunch of stuff that I didn't know was on there. And I have to decide if I want to use them myself or not.
Like, for instance, how much time we got left?
You have a minute and a half.
Sweet. So, like, for instance, if I wanted to show a video to you guys, I can stream. He said.
Be careful with that.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I don't watch anything appropriate during the show.
That's not what I mean. But that's fine.
And then I can click over and watch this. Can you see the screen with the video on it?
It's smaller, but now you can. Yes.
Okay. So there's a reason this guy is chugging all this beer, and it's because this guy, Jay Cutler, was walking around and was asked for a picture by this guy. By the way, in camouflage waders for some reason. And
so people would know that,
Jay Cutler said, I will take a picture with you if you chug that entire pitcher of beer. And the dude did it. And I respect both Jay Cutler and the guy.
I didn't realize there were people out there that like Jay Cutler that much.
I loved it. Jay Cutler won me over, and we're going to talk about this on air. Jay Cutler won me over on Instagram, which I hate Instagram. Seconds. But he won me over on Instagram because he did a full-length murder mystery. He owns chickens, and a bunch of his chickens ended up dead. So he ran a full-scale murder investigation to find out who and what was killing his chickens. I never got to the answer. I'm going to see if I can find that.
So how good was the murder mystery if you never stuck with it till the end to find out who killed the chickens?
It was...
Come back.
Hey, Rob can read. So he says. Email Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com and we'll put him to the test. This is the Rob Brown Show. Local sports talk on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. ESPN Upstate wrapping up the hour. Jay Cutler is becoming a hero of mine. All right. I love Jay Cutler. Zoe said during the break we were talking on the stream about Jay Cutler. Zoe said to me, I didn't know there were fans of Jay Cutler. Well, there are, and this guy right here is one of them. Jay Cutler won me over during last offseason, because Jay Cutler on his Instagram went full-length murder mystery. Jay Cutler owns chickens, and he found one of his chickens dead, and then a few nights later found another chicken dead. This was all happening in the midst of the coronavirus, where we were going through Tiger King and murder mysteries and documentaries to keep ourselves entertained. Well, Jay Cutler provided one as he kept having chickens getting killed, and he launched a full-scale investigation, Lonzo. He was putting up hunting cameras. He was doing forensics analysis of paw prints and whatnot in his yard. He went full tilt murder mystery, and he found out that the murderer of his chickens was a raccoon. It was a raccoon that was getting into the yard and murdering his chickens. Well, this past weekend, Jay Cutler was out in Vail, Colorado, where he was hanging out outside a bar in a skiing village in Vail. Well, a fan who was a Bears fan that recognized Jay Cutler asked Jay Cutler if he could take a picture with him, and Jay Cutler said yes. If you chug the entire pitcher of beer sitting on the table in front of you. My dude picked it up, flashed back to his college fraternity days, and bombed the entire pitcher of beer in one go. The video of this from Jay Cutler's Instagram spins over to Jay, and he's got a look on his face like, oh my word, I can't believe that guy just did that, and did it successfully before he shakes the man's hand, tells him he respects him, and takes a photo with him. Lonzo, Jay Cutler is just what I would be if I somehow was born into the gifts to be an NFL quarterback, and I absolutely love me some smoking Jay Cutler. The guy's incredible.
So now every time Jay Cutler walks into a bar, people are going to go, Jay, look, take a picture with me. And they're going to start. I guess that's not a bad thing if you're into that.
I like the picture for a pitcher routine that Jay Cutler has started. It's pretty good. I love it. If Jay Cutler walked into the bar I was hanging out in, I would have two questions. Number one, can I get a picture? And yes, I will chug this pitcher of beer. And number two, what happened to the raccoon? Because he never circled back around to that. Did he hunt down and murder the raccoon? Did he have the raccoon trapped and sent to a big raccoon farm upstate? Did he get into some sort of warfare with the raccoon in order to extract revenge for the loss of multiple chickens? I need to know, Jay Cutler. I need to know. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, coming up in the next hour at 1:20, FCS Nation joins us. We'll catch up with where Wofford and Furman football are in the FCS season so far, plus NASCAR racing set for Vegas this weekend. Give you my odds and picks. And are you in for a fan-controlled football league? All that coming up in the next hour. The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg.
Hooray. 1 hour down. So who do you have on the who do you have in the bracket that you're considering moving out? Give me like your March Madness bracketology first four out.
I'm considering removing Chip and Dale.
No.
I'm considering removing Ben 10. I'm considering removing Darkwing Duck.
I will fight you.
I say considering. These are all that are not cemented as far as I'm concerned. You could convince me. Ed and Eddie can be gone. So there's some stuff like that. I just made the list earlier, and like I said, I've went to 2 or 3 different people to see, and usually there will be big complaints. Why isn't this in there? Why isn't that in there? Well, it's because I make the list. You know, that's really what it comes down to. Usually when we do movies, it's about money.
Yep. So
it makes it a lot easier, but ones like this are more subjective. I got there eventually. But you go to the internet and look at bests of all time. There's a ton of lists on there, like from Ranker and places like that. And usually for something like, I just do it to get an idea, because there's no way I can remember every cartoon that I've ever watched. And in my case, I can also throw on the cartoons that my children watched, and my son is 27. So that gets me a pretty good range in between there. And then the more modern stuff, I don't know about. Like in the last 10 years, I guess Phineas and Ferb, was that? No,
yeah, that's more recent. That's contemporary.
But isn't that the last 10 years? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I've tried to watch some of the stuff that's out now, and it's not that good.
let's get dangerous.
Yeah, it's hard to get rid
Darkwing
of
was
that.
a great cartoon.
Yeah, because of Launchpad McQuack, man. That's my dude.
Have you watched the new Darkwing Duck?
I have not.
My my bassist in my band has 2 kids, and they absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
ESPN Upstate. Warning.
And check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, away we go. Our numero dos is here. The Rob Brown Show on a Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's working for the weekend. I am Rob Brown, the legend, the alpha and the omega of sports talk radio, Colonel Grudge, the conductor of the Symphony of Sound, Lonzo, back in the network studio, pushing the buttons, switching the switches, levering the levers, knobbing the knobs, whatever else needs to be done to get us on the air.
Got to get me some Colonel Grudge gear.
I don't hate.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, Zoe, I had the other day a listener who heard, pardon me, who heard when you were talking about t-shirt idea, which, yes, the Rob Brown Show t-shirts need to happen, and heard about your idea for getting 8-bit or 16-bit video game cartoon versions of us done, which I am, again, very much interested in doing, and told us that not only we should do that, but that we needed to throw, we needed to make a kind of a good guy, bad guy motif to it, and put my name on one, and instead of Lonzo, put Colonel Grudge under yours. Now, I'm sticking with Lonzo, but I wanted to go Lonzo, quotations, Colonel Grudge, end quotations, and you can be the heel as an 8-bit video game character. I'm thinking like kind of I don't know, like a Colonel Bison look for you on the 8-bit video game t-shirts that will be coming to the Rob Brown Show, hopefully sooner rather than later.
As long as I get to wear a beret. I mean, because,
that's what bad guys wear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what bad guys wear.
Maybe a beret that comes into an eye patch or just comes down enough to cover one eye. Because you look, if you're missing one eye with a beret on,
it's more intimidating.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. So the Rob Brown Show t-shirts featuring Lonzo and I as cartoon characters will be on the way. Coming up very, very soon, actually here in just a few minutes, Kevin Marshall of FCS Nation is going to be joining us on ESPN Upstate to talk about where Furman and Wofford stand in the FCS season thus far. Very much looking forward to that interview. Kevin does a fantastic job covering FCS level football, and we're looking forward to chatting with him coming up in the very next segment of the show. In this segment of the show, it is official. The Tokyo 2020/2021 Olympics Committee have said that there will be no foreign fans in attendance for the Tokyo Olympics this year. Japan has been very much up and down in the number of cases of the coronavirus, to the point that there is a very large population of Japan that does not want the Olympics to be hosted there at all. They don't want Japan to take on the risk and the responsibility of hosting the Olympics this year. Well, as a bit of a compromise, the Tokyo Olympic Committee has decided that they will continue to work towards having the Olympics coming up in, March, April, May, June, 3 months or so from the opening ceremonies, but that they will not allow foreign fans to attend the Olympics. So the question I pose to you here, I love the Olympics. They're one of my favorite events. They're right there next to the World Cup in terms of my favorite sporting events overall. I love them dearly. But a good chunk of the reason is that national pride. A good chunk of the reason is when they scan over the stands during a France v. Portugal soccer match, and you get the, 40,000 raving French fans and the 40,000 raving Portuguese fans talking junk to each other. It's Michael Phelps in the pool, and the camera spins and looks at the crowd, and you got all these dudes who are experiencing like college football national championship levels of passion, waving the American flag in support of Phelps, etc. That goes away. And now we have amateur athletes competing in amateur athletics in empty gymnasiums and pool houses and basketball courts, etc. Zoe, does that lower your level of excitement about the 2020/2021 Olympics?
Only slightly, because for the most part, that's a pretty mixed crowd, and it's also the fact that it costs a good bit to get over to whatever country it is to see it. I think it'd be more noticeable if when the United States wins a medal and our national anthem is playing and they can't show someone in the crowd singing it. But you know what they can show? They can show the athletes. And those athletes are still working just as hard, if not harder, than any athletes have in the past, because they're, it's got to be a little bit harder to get backing and stuff right now with the economy being down and things like that because of the coronavirus. As I'm talking about it, I think I may support it more because I think they need it more this time around than they have in the past. I will miss the crowds, but at the same time, those kids, those athletes worked really hard to get there, and I think they deserve us to watch and cheer from a distance.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. It does not temper my excitement about watching the Olympics. Nothing will. I love watching athletes in the purest version of the sport, and that's what we have here. We have the purest version of the sport with the athletes who are competing for very little more than the love of the sport in which they are competing. It takes away from what would be a more fun presentation of the sport, right? It takes away from what would be a more fun presentation without the fans, without the flags, without the thousands singing for their soccer team after they win the gold medal, etc. It takes away from all of that. But it is still the amateur athletes, playing their sport for nothing more than the love of the sport. And I'm in. Even without fans. The Olympics are an incredible event. At a point in time, more than maybe ever before, save for the exception of after World War II, at a point in time where we need the Olympics to bring the world together, it's going to be different than ever before. And it doesn't turn me off all that much. Yes, a little bit of the energy will be gone. Just like the energy was gone from the NBA Finals last year. Just like the energy was mostly gone from the World Series this year. It's going to lose a little bit of the energy. It's going to lose a little bit of the presentation. And I don't care. I don't care at all. It's not going to stop me for a second from watching I would go so far as to say, Lonzo, the single most global unifying event at all, period, right? The World Cup's up there, but the World Cup does not include everybody, as we so painfully learned in the last World Cup when the Americans did not qualify and we did not get to go. And my heart was broken and I was furious. The Olympics contain everybody. Everybody. Everybody has a shot to make it. Everybody has a shot to qualify. Everybody has a shot to compete. It's harder for some than others, sure. But everybody's got an opportunity. And it is, to me, when the Olympics are going on, Zoe, you had better believe that I am sitting there watching as many events as I can get my eyes on, and I'm rocking the red, white, and blue, and I'm chanting USA, USA, USA at my TV in an empty room by myself, that doesn't stop. But at the same time, for me, allow me to be the bleeding heart for a minute. I don't think there's an event that takes place worldwide that makes me feel more connected to brethren from around the world, because I know what they're feeling. I know the passion and the excitement when they get a guy or a gal who needs to shave off 1/10 of a second to become the fastest person in the world this year. I know that feeling because I'm feeling it at the exact same moment. It is a globally unifying event, and even if there are not fans in attendance, Lonzo, I don't care. I will be all in for the Olympics, and you better believe we'll be covering them on this show.
You know, I think the only major setback will be back to not having crowds, and you talk about shaving a 10th off. A lot of times that will happen because of adrenaline, because you're hearing the crowd. And not hearing the crowd may stop some records from not being broken. But still, those guys are over there, and I cannot wait to see this happen. I'm hoping it still goes through. And yeah, I'll be watching stuff that I've never heard of before, but our country is competing in it, and I want to see us win.
I go back to one of my favorite sports moments of all time. And I mean favorite sports moments of all time. Michael Phelps, Jason Lezak, and the 4x100 freestyle relay from the Beijing Olympics. It was nothing short of one of the most incredible relay races I've ever seen in my entire life. And again, I'm not a huge swimming fan. Again, I hardly ever watch swimming outside of the Olympics, man. It's just not something I spend a lot of time on. So I go back to Beijing, and what the heck? I don't even care. Here's the audio from that relay because it's unbelievable, and I still have it.
On Elaine Bernard, who stands 6'5" and can absolutely fly.
I just don't think they can do it, Dan. I mean, Jason Lezak has been there how many times in his career has he anchored this free relay and medley relay, but I just don't think he can do it. He's trying to ride that wave as much as possible.
Bernard is pulling away from him. The United States trying to hang on a second. They should get the silver medal. But Lezak is closing a little bit. Can the veteran chase him down and pull off a shocker here? Here comes Lezak! Unbelievable at the end! He's done it!
That was one of my favorite sports moments of all time. Jason Lezak closing the gap on the French and winning the gold medal, and those bleeps were because the cameras were right in the face of Michael Phelps, who, remember, in the summer of Phelps in London had created this era, and for him to get another gold, if I recall, that was the one that made him the most decorated Olympic athlete of all time. And those bleeps were because Michael Phelps was staring into the camera as he's looking out at the pool of Jason Lezak and going, "Let's go, mother bleeper." Multiple. This dude had so much passion and excitement, the veins were sticking out of his neck as Lezak took over a second place spot that even Costas there was like, "I don't think he's going to do it. He can't do it." They're fighting for silver now. An improbable, dare I say impossible comeback. And all of that noise, that adrenaline, that swimming hall being filled to the rafters with American swim fans there to watch the culmination of the Olympic career of the greatest of all time in the pool, Michael Phelps, lifting the roof off the place in Beijing. That relay race, Lonzo, in a silent pool hall has a completely different feel to it. I don't know that it's better or worse. As a fan of pure sports, I could argue it's better. As a fan of excitement and energy, I could say it's worse. But that race has a completely different feel, and you wonder if Jason Lezak got a little adrenaline spike from hearing that crowd as he's closing the gap that gave him just enough of a boost, a shock to the system to power him to gold in a historic race.
Well, you get excited hearing that call. Would that call have been as passionate without the crowd behind it? If you could remove the crowd noise to see, would it still pump you up? And I think it would. So I think it's going to be left up to the guys who are calling the races to give a little more than what they normally do, to put a little extra in there, because they're going to have to lift it, at least for us at home. It's not going to help the guys and girls there competing, but at least for us, we need to hear it. And I don't want pumped in crowd noise, because we've seen it done right, we've seen it done wrong, and I think we've seen it done wrong way too much.
Yeah, it's a play-by-play guy calling that race with the excitement level that it should be attached to it, but over a silent pool hall would be, and they'll likely be calling them on remote, but that's going to be tough to do, man. Let's take a break. When we come back, Kevin Marshall of FCS Nation joins us, talk a little Furman and Wofford football. That's up next. I'm Rob Brown. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show.
And I got Kevin's number when you're ready for it. So actually, I'm going to send it to you in the chat. See, this is the behind-the-scenes production, ladies and gentlemen, that you only get to see when you join us here on the stream. So thanks for doing that. Just Facebooked you the number there, Zoe. Let's see what we got here. I am sure that if Jay Bleeping Cutler caught the raccoon, he would have a new hat. You're probably not wrong, Ryan. You're probably not wrong.
And you know what? That hat would have went perfect with those fatigues he was wearing.
Well, my man showing up to go. It was a snowsuit. No, I thought it was waders. It was a snowsuit, but I love that he rocked the urban camo snowsuit. That shirt is fire, Lonzo. Yeah, the Nightwing shirt. Not bad. Not bad. I did see, I watched the Batman VR game that they put out on Oculus the other day, which is not really Batman like you're crime fighting, but like you're playing the detective role to figure out what happened. It's a little forced, but man, when they got to the twist in that story, I was like, oh no.
See, I've seen it because it's also on PSVR, but I haven't picked it up yet, just because to me it looked more like an experience rather than a game.
It is.
And experiences feel like a waste of money.
Yeah, it's very walks you through.
And I've seen some playthroughs where people were having trouble picking gadgets up and things like that. And,
yeah.
You know.
Let's see. What hat you rocking today, Rob? This is the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. It is the Major League Baseball team back down in my hometown area, Pensacola, Florida. One of the many that I have from the Blue Wahoos, but I had to pull the accessories down today to match the shirt. Let's see. And then he says Warzone is hard AF. LOL, I started playing the other day. Xbox or PlayStation there, Panda. If you're on Xbox, hit me with the gamer tag, man. I'll get you added. We'll throw some Warzone games together.
Does that not have crossplay?
It does have crossplay, but I found when you get multiple people from multiple platforms playing together, it slows your what do they call it, latency down just a little bit. And if somebody's got a faster frame rate than you, it kind of screws you up. All right, you're on PC. I'll play with you on PC. You can carry the hosting detail. Email me on your Activision number, robbrown@espnupstate.com. If you send me an email with your Activision number, I'll add you as a Warzone friend. We can get some games going for sure, man, for sure. And anybody else watching the stream that's on Warfare or Warzone, excuse me, email me robbrown@espnupstate.com with your Activision and the 4 or 5, whatever number it is at the end of your Activision. I'll throw you on there. We get some more. I love playing, man. I like playing games with listeners when I get the chance to. I will tell you this in advance, Panda. I suck at Warzone, but I am very, very funny while I'm in the process.
You know what? I'm not buying it. I have dealt with too many gamers who say that they're terrible at a game, and you get on, and then they school you. So I think you're trying to.
Win in the history.
I think you're clowning. I really do.
When in the history of you knowing me have I ever claimed to be bad at something that I was good at? If I'm good at something, though, I'll let you know, son. I'll let you know.
Well, you and I still, as of yet, we haven't played anything together yet, so I don't know.
True. I always see you online at night, and it's always at the moment where I'm like, I'm out of gas for video games. Like I just want to veg. I'm gonna get you on the Fallout 76 though. We are gonna hook that up.
I am well into I'm in the 20s now.
I saw you playing the other day. I was like, dang, he must be leveling that bad boy up hard.
I am.
This is a new character though, right? You've played before. You just
this is a brand new character for sure. This is the first time I played by myself. All right, we're coming back. He's guest standing by.
Okay.
Smartest way to hire.
Opinions wanted.
Well, opinions are like, we'll say, everybody has one.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM, Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, and all around the world on the radio.com app. Join us, be a part of the show, 844-GSP ESPN, Texas 71307. But before we do that, to the phone lines we go. We welcome in Kevin Marshall, the host of FCS Nation, which you can hear right here on ESPN Upstate Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Kevin, my man, welcome back to the show. Great to have you, buddy. 2 weeks deep in the season. How we feeling about it so far?
Well, Rob, I'll tell you, I didn't know if we'd make it, but it looks like we just might. The FCS spring is a thing, and if you're not watching, you should be.
It's been great, man. And for a point in time, or even just a couple of weeks ago when we had you on, we had a discussion about whether or not they'd be able to finish the season this year. But we're 2 weeks deep. We've only had, I think, a couple of games that have been delayed, and not because of breakouts, just because of like a contact trace and a group of position players had to be out. It's gone relatively smoothly. So I'll ask you a question that I have heard before we get into the specifics of where Furman and Wofford are right now. I'll ask you a question that I've heard asked a lot, and I think I already know the answer, but I'll be interested to hear if you have anything to add to it, and it is this. With the FCS right now, playing through the spring, seems to be doing relatively well. Is there a chance that FCS football might adopt a permanent move to the spring season at some point in the future?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Football in college and in the NFL and in high school is played in the fall. And look, the ability for FCS programs, not everybody is Montana or Montana State or NDSU, who can make almost as much off having a home game as they can by going and playing an FBS squad. And if you take the ability to have a money game away from FCS teams, a lot of schools just won't play football anymore. And it also hurt the down ballot, as they say, sports as well. I don't believe that's a thing. I don't believe it should be. And I certainly wouldn't be for it. I don't want to go to a homecoming football game in April. I want to go to one of those in late October or early November like everybody else does. And it would just mess with everyone's college experience so much. You know, the memories that everybody has about where they went to school and going to the football games and everybody gathering together at the tailgate, you know, as the fall colors change. And, you know, and that's football. And look, if we can't get the national networks to put these FCS games on this spring this year, when, you know, it's a anomaly, it's something that's never happened before. I mean, look, it's a shame I have to go to watch the stream last night of the North Dakota-South Dakota game, which was a heck of a football game, and North Dakota's really good. That should have been on ESPN somewhere rather than some dude pulling a semi-trailer with his teeth on the World's Strongest Man competition. I mean, you know, I'm no television program executive, But I know this, that people like to watch football, and they're missing the boat big time.
And that was going to be my next question to you is, why is this happening? I mean, look, last Saturday I'm flipping around. We got FCS games taking place, and I'm having go down to the 8th and 9th sports channels on a streaming service to watch them. And then I flip over, and they're showing the 2008 World Series game number 1 on some of the cable sports channel. What is the reason that FCS ball can't get more love? And what can, if anything, the FCS schools do in order to get more attention, especially now when there's really nothing on Saturdays to compete against except some regional NBA games here and there?
I think it has a lot to do with contracts that are made years in advance with certain entities and certain television channels. Look, I don't always agree with a lot of what he says, but I don't know if anybody read the article, and if you haven't, you should go take a look at it online that Gene Sapikoff from the Charleston Post and Korea wrote yesterday. And, he said that, with the ACC and the SEC having their own networks that a lot of people get on their cable providers, why are they showing 7-year-old conference championship games on a Saturday afternoon rather than showing, these programs that they have no problems playing and in some cases losing to during the fall football season? It seems like it would be a good way for them to keep their spears sharpened and ready to go for their fall season. But I just don't know the answer to that, other than the fact that, maybe it might take some effort, and some of those folks may be a little bit fat on their FBS TV contracts and feel like that they don't have to do anything else.
Kevin Marshall is the host of FCS Nation. It airs every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on ESPN Upstate, around the upstate of South Carolina. Let's flip over. Let's talk a little Paladins football. The Furman this past weekend, very disappointing loss to the Keydets of Virginia Military Institute. Reese Dudansky, Southern Conference preseason offensive player of the year, 248 yards and a pair of touchdowns. But this one came down to the wire and was an absolute heartbreaker for the Paladins. The Keydets had a 1-point lead in the fourth quarter, kind of adopted a clock control strategy, just trying to run the clock out. But Furman got the ball back. They're driving under a minute to go. And then a fluky turnover with 47 ticks left handed the dub over to the Keydets. What did you see out of Furman that you liked and disliked from their loss to VMI this weekend?
Well, their pass defense was excellent. They did not allow VMI, which is I figured that the Furman VMI game would look a lot like the Samford game did against Western Carolina. Was at 55-27, something like that. I figured that VMI would be able to score. And, with what Furman had done against Western the week prior, I figured this game would be a shootout. When I looked up and it was 14-13 with a minute to go, I wondered if maybe the scoreboard operator had made a mistake. But it seemed like it was a really good football game. I saw the most of it. VMI, look, it's amazing to me that they have been able to be as competitive as they have been the last 2 football seasons in the SoCon. They operate under a lot of disadvantage that even the Citadel doesn't have to operate under. They have no graduate school. So, you have to, if you're going to be a 5th-year man there, you have to work out your academics to spend an extra semester as a cadet there. I don't think anybody wants to spend any more time at VMI or the Citadel than they absolutely have to. So, but with Furman, look, I would have thought that they would have been able to exploit some things on offense, but give the VMI defense some credit. They balled them up most of the game, and they made the plays when they needed to.
Yeah, and again, this is interesting because, we talked about the teams like Furman that played no fall games that had to knock rust off, and I really did think that they had done just that last week when they took on the Catamounts. But this weekend, especially later in that game, Furman just made mistakes. And I know those mistakes, Clay Hendricks pointed those out in his pressers afterwards. But it was just, it was the little things here and there, which I know has got to be very frustrating to Furman fans.
Well, look, things like that have a tendency to even out. Following SoCon football for as long as I have, I mean, there's been, probably more than 30 of them that I've seen involving the Furman Paladins where, they've won in ways that, you kind of scratch your head. A lot of things have gone their way in their program's history, and those things have a tendency to even out. But, when you look at that, the simple things, you ought not to snap the ball off the receiver while he's in motion. That just kind of blew my mind when I saw that, but you talk about knocking the rust off. Well, VMI hadn't played. That was their first game. Their game against Chattanooga was postponed the week before. So, I would have thought that conventional wisdom would have told you that Furman had the advantage in that endeavor, but obviously they didn't. VMI came out ready to play, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, man, they got after the Paladins. That's for sure.
One of the guys we've been keeping on the season is Devin Wynn for the Paladins, wearing number 22, guy that last season, 1,100 plus yards, 14 touchdowns, he no fumbles lost or just one or two fumbles lost. I don't remember off the top of my head, but 21 carries, 93 yards for Devin Wynn. One of the things that I assumed coming into the season for Furman was that if Furman was going to have a successful season, Devin Wynn didn't just have to get worked into the offense because they've got options. But for him to have 21 carries and 93 yards, they're not terrible numbers, but I never really saw that he had the opportunity to pop open. Do I credit VMI's defense for stepping up and knowing what Furman wanted to do, or does Furman need to try to step him up into the game a little bit more frequently?
Well, I'll tell you this, with the offense that Furman runs, it's interesting that, these are not the Lewis Ivory days where you get in the I formation and you hand the ball off to a guy and let him pound away. They want to do so many things from, running the flex bone to getting out of the shotgun with 4 wide receivers. So it just seems like to me that any Furman ball carrier that gets 20, 21, 22 carries is probably the max you're going to get in that system. And maybe it would behoove the Paladins to maybe trim that playbook a little bit, get back to more basics. And look, the Paladins have always been deadly when they can run the ball right between the tackles and then go play action to the tight end across the middle. That's been in the Furman playbook for 50 years, and it's worked. And I think that maybe that's something that Coach Hendricks will look at, that, trying to do so many type things, be so multiple that, maybe you're hurting your football team by not maybe paring that down some and doing the things that you do well. And one of them is hand the ball off of Devin Wynn and let him rumble because he is a stud, no doubt.
Kevin Marshall, the host of FCS Nation, airs Saturdays right here on ESPN Upstate. Mercer versus Wofford. Look, Mercer was a heavy underdog coming to this one. Wofford the favorite, 31-14. They put Mercer away as they should. Wofford's first game of the year, to tell you the truth, they looked pretty smooth for that being their opening kick.
They did, and look, what happened against Chattanooga was kind of the same deal with Wofford as with Furman. Chattanooga, Jeff Hartzell wrote an article that they have 25 FBS transfers on the football team, and they have some depth. And Wofford, obviously, with the problems on their defensive line, they only carry 9 defensive linemen. Most teams in the conference carry between 13 and 15. So that's, maybe a roster anomaly right there. They had to do some things differently on defense, and it worked. But one of the things I think around the country that you're seeing is that special teams are not quite up to where we're used to seeing them. Punting and fielding punts has been kind of throw a 10 over that circus all over the country because it's really something you don't practice live a lot. Kickoff returns, and that muff punt in that Chattanooga-Wofford game, was really the difference. And, Wofford had a great first drive. And then I guess Rusty Wright up there at Chattanooga, good defensive coach, and his staff made some adjustments and really limited what the Terriers could do the rest of that ball game. It was an impressive victory by Chattanooga.
All right, let's look outside of the market just a little bit. North Dakota State, a program that because of their overall success over the past, it feels like forever many years, it was a shock not just to watch them lose, but to get dominated in their game this weekend. They've lost 5 since 2014 total, all of those losses by an average of just 6 points. So for them to get blown out and get outgained by approaching 200 yards this weekend, what went on this weekend? And should folks, I mean, is the perception about to shift for NDSU?
Look, for those of us that, follow the subdivision with a lot of interest, look, we like the NDSU people. They're interesting folks. They treat you nice when you're an opponent or a visiting media person up there. I've been there to Fargo quite a few times. But nobody likes somebody who just, comes out and whips everybody every week. The people can be as nice as they can be. I imagine the people at Alabama are real nice. The people at Clemson are real nice. I know they are. But there are people who dislike them because they win all the time. Well, look, the world didn't end when NDSU lost. But you're spot on there. I mean, look, they had a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. And that was just a busted coverage. If that didn't hit, you're talking about the Southern Illinois Salukis, who got destroyed the week before by the other school in North Dakota, the Fighting Hawks, the University of North Dakota, holding NDSU to 7 points. And look, I always say on the show, I don't ever bet against the Bison because there's no money in it. At least there hasn't been any time recently. But MVFC is very strong. And look, there's going to be some teams with the pared down playoff this year that are going to have decent records. But, it's very interesting to talk about, the second full week, third full week of the FCS season. They're being must-win games for teams that have one loss. And those are all over the country this week. So it wasn't just NDSU last week either. I mean, if you were in the top 25 of the FCS, it was a slaughterhouse last week. A bunch lost. And that creates new opportunities for some people who maybe should have been there but weren't, because the people that got put in the poll were people who had been in the poll, and there was a lot of recency bias there, I think.
All right, one more before we let you go, Kevin. Deion Sanders taking over as Jackson State's head coach back in September, and there were a lot of folks asking, is this for real? Is Deion ready to be a coach? Just a publicity stunt? They transferred in a lot of FBS guys, which is no shot. I mean, guys, it's been a little while since Deion was on the field, but Deion's one of those transcendent players that even the young guys know exactly who he was. They go out, handle business, 53-0 opening. Granted, it was against a much lesser team in Edward Waters, but what are you seeing out of Deion's team, and does he show potential as a long-term really good head coach?
I'll tell you this, he's smart enough to surround himself with a lot of smart, experienced football minds. I think it would have been very easy for him to go out and get his buddies that he had played in the NFL with to be his assistant coaches and try to draw more star power in that way. But I don't believe that's the problem and won't be a problem for him. He's been smart enough to get some experienced guys who know the day-to-day operations of how you run a college football team. So that's a smart move by Coach Sanders there. And look, it's going to be a very interesting game against Grambling, that's for sure. Even people who don't follow FCS football, well, they know who Grambling is. So, this will be a very good first test. And I read an article where a head coach at Grambling, Broderick Fobb, said that they weren't playing Deion Sanders, that unless some NCAA regulations had changed, he wasn't going to be available to suit up, that they were playing the Jackson State Tigers, not Deion Sanders, which I think is probably a pretty good attitude for a head coach on the opposing side to take.
We are talking with Kevin Marshall. He is the host of FCS Nation. We'll cheer here tomorrow morning and every Saturday at 9 a.m. on ESPN Upstate. Kevin, tell the folks what to look forward to on tomorrow's show, Big Dog.
Well, we'll have the voice of the Richmond Spiders, Mr. Bob Black, who's one of the best play-by-play guys at any level in this country. You'll really enjoy talking with Bob. They play William & Mary, which is a huge ball game in the Commonwealth of Virginia every year. We'll have our friend Michael Barker, who is touring the country in FCS Nation this spring, and we'll get his report from where he was last week and where he'll be this week. And we'll cover it all like we always do. Picks, breakdowns. If you're interested in FCS football, give us a listen. I think you'll like it.
I like it. Kevin Marshall, the host of FCS Nation, tomorrow morning and every Saturday, 9 a.m. on ESPN Upstate. Kevin, my man, always great to talk to you, big dog. We'll get you back on real soon and keep up with you, man.
I appreciate it. It's a Chamber of Commerce day here in Stevensville, Montana. We might hit 60 degrees.
Montana.
People are washing their boats, Rob. They're in shorts. It's amazing.
I love it. I went to Montana about, I guess about 20 years ago, and it's one of the most beautiful places on this spinning rock in outer space. Save me a guest room, pal. I'll be there soon.
No problem, Rob. Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. Kevin Marshall, host of FCS Nation, again tomorrow, 9 a.m. every Saturday right here on ESPN Upstate. Quick break, and we are back after this. I'm Rob. He's Zoe. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show.
Did you take yourself off the stream? Do you have that ability?
I do, and I did.
Oh, darned.
I wasn't aware that I could, but I did.
Cool. Chat's quiet today, man. You got anything you want to talk about in the breaks? Hit us up. Zoe and I are open for anything. Almost. You know what I meant to do earlier this week, Lonzo, and I need to do this again soon. I do once a year. I do a get to know your host segment, or, well, I guess show, where I let people ask me anything they want to ask me personally, professionally, whatever. And I answer those questions with 100% honesty, even when it's embarrassing. I meant to do that for the 1 year because I don't think I did it when I got it. I think I did. I think Diesel and I did it for like a couple of minutes one day. And then, but I didn't think about it at the end of the show. I need to do a show sometime in the next few weeks where it's just everything's on the table. Ask me anything you want to ask me, and I'll answer honestly on the air, which gets a little dicey sometimes.
Yeah, I would say it would.
I don't know how the listeners around here are going to do it, though, right? Because, like, down in Destin, early in my career, people would mostly call in, and they'd be like, can you tell me, who's the coolest athlete you ever met? What's the best story? And then the later I was on in Destin, Pensacola, after I'd been on for 8 or 9 years, they started calling in asking stuff that I'm like, y'all, quit. My mom listens to this show. So, we've built it. It's been a year. We've got, we got our little cult group of listeners, and then we've got the expanded listeners. And I'm afraid of what the Keegans and the Stathakises of the world would ask me versus what our regular listeners would ask.
Well, you can screen things thoroughly and decide if something is too risque to answer. And if need be, you can just look at me and I will tell you if I think you should or not.
Now, again, like it's always been, ask whatever you want. I don't care. And I will answer it on the only places I've gotten into, like, and even if you ask me about personal life stuff, most of the time I'm relatively an open book.
All right, real quick, 30 seconds and Prisma in the next break.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. People ask risque questions. I think there's only been probably in the years I've been doing, I think there's probably only been 5 or 6 questions that I was like, nope, I'm not answering that. And most of the time it's because it's like it's about the person I'm dating and I'm not going to give out their information.
Text us anytime at 71307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Weigh-ins for UFC 259 in the books. And how about this, Lonzo? Israel Adesanya, 200.5 pounds. Jan Blachowicz weighed in at 205. So a 5-pound advantage for Jan Blachowicz. Both of them make weight. We've talked about Israel Adesanya going up and down. The more I thought about this fight last night, Zoe, I really like Israel Adesanya in this fight. I like his ability to be versatile. And even with a 5-pound weight difference in favor of Jan Blachowicz, who is a knockout artist, man, he's going to be throwing punches. I got to tell you, I feel more and more confident that Israel Adesanya walks out of there with a dub in his belt and continues to move towards being what Jon Jones should have been.
Yeah, and still, the thing is, eventually, the rumors out there that Adesanya wants to fight Jon Bones Jones. So we'll see. That's too much of a difference to me as far as weight classes goes.
He's a solid 30 pounds lighter than Jon Jones, right?
Yeah, and Jon Jones is putting on weight to go up to heavyweight. Yeah. So who knows what Jones is at right now?
Yeah, that'd have to be a catchweight fight, right? That'd have to be a 215, 220 fight, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I would pay to see that.
Oh, in
fight,
a heartbeat.
though, for
in
sure.
A heartbeat. Jon Jones, when he was coming up as a prodigy, was the biggest draw the UFC had since, I don't know, Georges St. Pierre in his prime kind of levels. And then he just, unfortunately, he got to the point where he couldn't keep his head straight out of the octagon, and I really do think it had impacted his fight game. Israel Adesanya, if he can avoid the mistakes that Jon Jones made when he was the rising star of the UFC, I don't do this very often, and I don't even know if this is a knee-jerk reaction or not, Zoe, but I think Israel Adesanya is on pace to become the face of UFC and replace Conor McGregor in that role. If he wins this fight, it will go a long way in that direction.
Yeah, and that's not entirely a bad thing. It's not, because to my knowledge, he hasn't really been in trouble or anything like that, and he has no problem with getting out in front of the camera and entertaining. So, and that's what you want as a face of your company. So, yeah, he could be that next guy.
All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776, Texas 71307, you MMA fans. Who you got? Who you like this weekend? Adesanya, by the way, I looked up earlier this morning when I was getting set for my my gambling show. Israel Adesanya is a plus 250 favorite. So not only is he favored, Zoe, but Vegas really likes him. Blachowicz was like a minus 330 underdog, so a 3-1 dog, over worse than 3-1 dog, Jan Blachowicz. And that to me says more about Israel Adesanya than it does about Jan Blachowicz. To me. 844-GSP-ESPN, Texas 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Quick break. Back after this. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a favorite for 24/7 real, unfiltered sports talk.
Your mama told you for years that the most important thing for you is your health. We know that. Everybody knows that. You get told that when you're a kid, when you're getting there in high school. You got to start looking out for yourself. Well, the one best way to make sure that you keep your health is to invest in your health and make sure that you have a healthcare provider backed by a trustworthy healthcare system that you know works. Well, if it's good enough for both the Clemson Tigers and the South Carolina Gamecocks to trust their student athletes, their most important folks when it comes to making money for the athletic department with their health, then don't you believe you can trust them with the health of you and your family? Prisma Health in the Upstate is the official healthcare provider for Clemson and South Carolina. When they have athletes who need to be looked after, they send them to Prisma, and Prisma will take care of you with the same level of care and concern that they look after those athletes. There are more than 2,400 healthcare providers within the Prisma Health system around the upstate. They can offer you service for whatever health care issues you find yourself needing assistance with. Go to their website at prismahealth.org. Prismahealth.org. You can find a doctor. You can see the extensive list of services that they can provide to you, and you can get a schedule set up to make sure that you are looking after your health with the best healthcare providers in the upstate. Go to their website, prismahealth.org, to learn more. Prismahealth.org. It's Prisma Health here in the upstate. All right. My texts on my phone are going bananas today. I gotta turn the ringer off, he says, an hour and a half into the show.
At least you came to a realization eventually.
Man, I need some live baseball in my life. Oh, man. I will be working from the FLA next week, Lonzo, all 5 days. Not that impacts you in any way, shape, or form, but just wanted to let you know.
I know you said that earlier in the week. I think you're just doing that to make me jealous.
I am not, and I do, and I sincerely appreciate the management of ESPN Upstate for letting me do it, because I got to tell you, I have done the drive to Florida and back in 2 consecutive weekends in the past. And the truth is, Lonzo, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. So instead of driving back-to-back weekends to do weddings that I'm involved in the next 2 weekends, they told me I could do it. And that being said, I can't promise I won't do one of those shows literally sitting on the beach.
If you are capable of doing so, you probably should. But I'm just thinking sand in the equipment.
Well,
bad
it wouldn't
idea.
be like literally sitting on the beach. It would be like on a beachside patio kind of situation.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's available to me yet or not. Fingers crossed it is, because that would be radical, dude.
You know, internet strength and other things come into play there too. But that'd be wicked to be able to do.
Yes, it would.
Just make sure it's not a nude beach, because that probably wouldn't go over well. Which I don't know if they have those in Florida or not, do they?
If they do, I don't know where they are.
Good answer.
And also, as somebody who has seen a nude beach before, I think people get a very warped view of what a nude beach actually looks like. You're not seeing a bunch of 9s and 10s walk around, Lonzo. You're seeing a bunch of people who look like me walking around. It is a mistake that some kids make once.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. 1 minute. I have no interest to ever go to one of those on purpose. And if I stumbled on one, no. But that's exactly what I envisioned it being. How you're describing that.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight.
Now, if it was on an island somewhere, in the Caribbean or something, maybe it might be different. I don't know. Maybe.
If it's on a island somewhere in the Caribbean that only rich people can get to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Money can buy attractiveness.
Twitter, tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on, wrapping up our Numerados right here on ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you, 844-GSP, ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN 71307. Join us on the stream, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. We stream the show every single day, and you can watch with Zoe and I, participate in the comments during the break. We talk about what's going on in the chat during the break, so we do have some relatively interesting off-the-air conversations, etc., etc. Coming up in the next hour of the show, we got to get our NASCAR talk in here, set for Las Vegas this weekend. Another round of MMA talks. Dana White says Conor McGregor is ready to roll for a trilogy of fights with Dustin Poirier. 2 more to go, plus the Charlotte Hornets. Could they be adding a two-time NBA All-Star to the mix? They are in discussion. Are you interested in Joe Montana's fan-controlled football league? Jalen Ramsey says that Deshaun Watson will not play another game for the Houston Texans. He would not go so far as to say he knows he'll be traded, but we'll talk about that. And, of course, as we mentioned earlier, and we'll get into a further breakdown, Todd McShay, his most recent mock draft is out, and he has said he believes the Carolina Panthers will trade up 5 spots in the NFL draft in order to bring in Justin Fields from the Ohio State University. Is that a smart move? Is Justin Fields the guy? Do you believe that that is the right move for Carolina, or should they hang on to the draft capital and bring in Mac Jones or Trey Lance? All of that and more. We're breaking it down for you coming up in the next hour of the show. My name is Rob Brown, Lonzo at the helm, and you are listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate.
Oh, man.
We have a QC Kinetics in the first break.
Outstanding, James. Let's do another round of retweets and whatnot. Welcome to those of y'all watching the stream. Great to have you along. New thing we started up
Check
this
this
week.
out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown
Let's get it.
Lockdown.
Hour number 3.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, Upstate South Carolina. Hello to you and how do you do? Great to be with you. Those of you watching on the stream, what up? Great to have you along for the ride as well. I am Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, back in the network studios in charge of the sound of the show. Glad to have you hanging out with us today on a Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Last hour of Friday, always one of the most fun of the week because we've got like 11 stories that we got to bust through before we get out of here for the day. Twitter trending topics will wrap us out to finish off the show. So between now and then, jump on board. 844-477-3776, 844-GSP ESPN. Text us at 71307. 71307 is the number. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, and at ESPN Upstate. All the different ways to get in touch with us here on the radio broadcast today. Let's jump in to some of the segments that we have not yet gotten to. Joe Montana was a quarterback, you idiot. Joe Montana has been out there hyping up a new league that he is one of the leads of. He is the Chief Strategic Officer for the FCS, the Fan-Controlled Football League, which is an indoor league created by Project Franchise. It got rolling back in 2016, has picked up since then, but has got some names in the league now, including on the playing field, Johnny Blanking Football, Johnny Manziel. We also know that they have signed Josh Gordon, the troubled NFL receiver, trying to get his career back in shape. He is now playing in the Fan-Controlled Football League. But it's not just in front of the camera. NFL players Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch, Dalvin Cook, and Austin Eckler are all co-owners and investors in this league as well. And what's interesting about this league is that the decisions that are made about the on-the-field activities taking place, Lonzo, are controlled by the fans down to the play calling. You can actually interact with the games in real time. They take polls on what plays should be run by the offense in game, and the fans or the teams will run those plays. It is a 7-on-7, 3-man offensive line, 50-yard field. There are no kickoffs. There are no punts. There are no goalposts. Extra points are determined by one-on-one matches between receivers and defensive backs, and the fans have massive involvement. They played a game last week, had over 800,000 viewers between their streaming platforms. Lonzo, if there's a league that you get to be directly involved with up to and including helping to call the plays, and it's backed by Montana, Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, it features the likes of Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel, Josh Gordon, etc., how likely am I to talk you into giving this a shot since it is played in the spring, not up against the NFL and college football?
It sounds like a fun thing. I'm curious. So are these plays determined before the game or during the game? Because if it happens during the game, how can they do that in a timely fashion? Do they hesitate and wait for said play to be picked? Or how does that work?
My understanding, and I'll be honest with it, I haven't seen a game yet. I have not. In fact, I'm actually going to go to YouTube and see if I can pull up a game to watch it. My understanding is that the plays are basically selected in real time by the fans. So they're actually basically putting in their selections for what plays should be run, and allowing the fans to call the games in real time. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Not the greatest group of football players in the world, and that's not a slight because they're all better than me, but I'm watching some of these plays. It's in a small little arena. I'm talking like smaller than the Well. There's probably room for maybe 8,000 fans, maybe 10,000 on their best days at most. The quarterbacks are wearing what I can equate best to police body cams. The extra points are quite literally quarterbacks throwing to a receiver one-on-one versus a defensive back. I'm intrigued. I don't know that it's anything that I'm necessarily going to go way out of my way to be involved with. The games are relatively short. Lonzo, they're 12-minute quarter, or excuse me, they're let me see. Hang on. I got to start this. Looks like maybe 18-minute halves. It looks like instead of 4 50-minute quarters, so the game can go relatively quick. I don't know, man. It's intriguing enough, Lonzo, that I think if I'm sitting at home, there's nothing else going on, I might throw it up on the laptop and see if it hooks me. I'm not going out of my way. Like, I'm not putting it on the Google Calendar yet. But a year or two of developing and working out the kinks, you might talk me into making myself a fan.
Well, with the guys that are backing it, it makes it interesting. The question is, for those guys, though, what are they getting out of it? I mean, is this for the love of the game, or are they making some money off of this?
I believe they're getting paid. I'm sure it's probably, a few $100 a game. I doubt you're getting a lot of guys out there that are making NFL contracts.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the players themselves. I'm talking about the guys that are behind the league.
Oh,
Joe Montana's, guys like that.
Look, I think what you're going to see out of this league is you're likely going to see them trying to make a play to accomplish what, guys like Ninja are doing by monetizing YouTube, right? Like, you got these guys and gals that go on YouTube and they play video games, and they make, some of them, I think Ninja makes like millions of dollars a year by having people watch himself play video games on YouTube and on Twitch and all that, and people give him gifts of money and donations and all that to keep him going. I would almost be willing to bet that just based on the structure and the fact that so many of the owners are younger guys. Marshawn Lynch and Richard Sherman are in their 30s, but they're not going to look and go, okay, we need to compete with the NFL's version of a television model. They're going to keep this thing to where it's, hey, man, if you're watching this and you enjoy it, throw us $10 a game on Twitch. We'll put it towards the league, whatever. And look, if they're pulling for the Glacier Boys with a Z versus the Thrillers, if they're pulling 800,000 streams on a middle of the day weekend kind of situation, if this league continues to grow to where they're doing 1.5 million streams, which is less than double what they're doing already, and they're getting every one of those guys to, let's say you throw in a stream, if you could average $1 a streamer, right? And I'll tell you this, if I'm watching something streaming while I'm sitting at the house and I'm really enjoying it on a Saturday afternoon, Zoe, to the point that, and I've done this with musicians. One of the things I love to do is, especially now that we're in the still not back to where we're getting big live music venues, there are websites where it's just musicians, and they just get online and they set up their board like they're playing a concert, and they play virtual concerts. If I'm sitting there and I'm watching a musician and I'm really enjoying the work they're doing, I'll toss $5 in their little virtual tip jar. If they can get 800,000 people to watch, though, and they can get every one of them to tip $1 to watch a game, you pull in an 800G, you got a 4 or 5 team league, you pay every player $2,000, every 3 weeks for what they're doing, or every 2 weeks for what they're doing. If they can sustain that, and they're willing to operate with low profits early, if they go to that kind of completely virtual Twitch streaming kind of models, though, this thing's got a chance to be kind of interestingly lucrative, I think.
It does, but I'm just trying to. I'm trying to envision myself enjoying it so much that I'm willing to toss some cash that way, and it would have to be awfully good for me to do that, especially if I can watch it for free.
Yeah, and again,
the band thing I get. I didn't even know that's a thing, and that's a cool thing for bands because bands can't go anywhere and play. But as far as the football goes, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, they got to find ways to make it interesting, and we have seen gimmick football leagues that have failed in the past because they haven't caught on. But I think what this league is doing is instead of trying to do what some of these gimmick leagues have done and operate successfully on cable television, what they're doing is going, okay, we'll go capture the virtual audience, which we know is there. The virtual audience is there. We've seen the virtual audience successfully be captured by other events. We saw this past off season, we saw the virtual races in NASCAR. They caught a lot of streamers on Twitch by having NASCAR drivers come in and drive these simulators virtually. You capture the audience of younger kids who like sports but are also spending most of their time in front of their computer, and you go, hey, toss our game up. It's fun. It's video game style. Here's the thing, though. If I'm helping call plays, like if I'm voting on a poll and they go, what do you want the next play to be? Should it be run right, run left, pass right, short pass, long pass? Should we go for it all, whatever? If I'm calling plays and those plays are being utilized and being utilized successfully in a game, I will enjoy that a lot to the point that I'll go, you're going, yeah, I'll toss you $5 to let me pretend like I'm a head coach for a day. And if I'm going to sit there and I'm going to call plays and pay money for it, I'm going to pick up me a little hat. I mean, I wear minor league baseball hats. Why wouldn't I wear this? I like the premise, just the fact that they're kind of capitalizing in a way I don't think other leagues have done so on this new era of broadcasting that we seem to be entering during the coronavirus pandemic.
All right, to get money out of me, I would have to at least get 90% of the plays that I picked being the ones that are picked.
What a control freak, man. What a control freak.
Well, if you go with 90% of my plays, you're guaranteed to win.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so you're just banking on your infinite success as a head coach.
Gotcha. Well, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, if I do well, I'm willing to throw some cash down. Like, they won because of me. So let me spread some of that level around. Yeah. But
I'm not mad.
If everything I pick, if you pick and nothing that you pick ever gets picked, then you're going to start thinking there's shenanigans going on because there's no way that anybody in their right mind would pick those other plays.
You're also not wrong on that. All right, real quick audio, just because I want to make Zoe listen to it and get his reaction. Earlier this week, Lonzo's favorite NFL quarterback, a guy by the name of Tom Brady, was on the James Corden show and got asked about what was going through his mind when he decided to throw the Lombardi trophy from boat to boat. I know it's an old story. I don't care because Tom Brady, y'all, is becoming a likable quarterback, and it's weird.
Equally as fantastic to watch. You got a
I
little
don't remember that
daring
quite as well.
with the Lombardi trophy. If you don't remember it,
well, I said that, and of course, I ended up accidentally recording an ad in the middle of that audio. So hang on 10 seconds, or not 10, 5 seconds, because I have to find where in my audio file to shift ahead to. Lonzo, that's what happens when you don't pay attention when you're doing show prep. It's just a pitfall of America.
You're busy. I get that. You're really busy, and you're doing several things at one time. Sometimes these things slip through.
You're not wrong. All right, here's where that audio picks up. Sorry about that.
I mean, I know the outcome and my heart's still in my mouth when I see it. Was there any bit of you thinking, what do I do if this goes in the water?
Okay, first of all, I was not thinking at that moment. There was not a thought. It was, this seems like really fun to do. And not to mention, when you get your hands on one of those trophies, there are a lot of really sharp edges on the bottom, where the stand is. Obviously, the ball is what it is. And then I found out later that had that been an incomplete pass, that would have went down like 80 feet.
You're never seeing it again.
So
you even
I'm
hear,
so happy to Cam.
Whose voice is it that you hear say, no? Can you do? There's somebody shouts, no, don't do it.
That's my little 8-year-old daughter. Daddy,
man.
no.
Oh, no.
And who could imagine that an 8-year-old girl would have the most sense of anybody in that whole area at the time? Like, she's the voice of reason. I mean, go figure.
I
So
gotta
it was
say,
really cute.
It was so brilliant seeing you having such a great time. This is you getting off the boat. Now, what is this? Is this sea legs? Or dare I say it, a touch of tequila?
Oh, man. I think a little of both. It was definitely a moment of celebration. I'm happy I'm on land at that point. Absolutely happy I'm being surrounded by my fellow quarterback, Griff, in the right place at the right time.
Really was.
Who could have a friend better than that? Just, making sure I was just so comfortable walking off the boat like that.
I hate to tell you this, Alonzo, and you don't have to / won't like it, but I kind of like Tom Brady as a person now. I kind of do. I hate it, but I kind of like Tom Brady as a person now.
I will not celebrate this alcoholic doing these things in front of his child ever. There are 12-step programs out there, wonderful programs like Alcoholics Anonymous. Hi, my name is Tom Brady. I'm an alcoholic. I, embarrass myself in front of my children and the entire world and through one of the most precious trophies that are in the history of this world over a body of water. I need help.
Okay, number one. I don't think Tom Brady is an alcoholic. I think Tom Brady likes to imbibe.
I will never say it's acceptable to do such a thing in front of your children. And yeah, that child had the most sense because she was sober.
Second off, and I'm going to say this, I had an incredible mother and father. I was very lucky to have the mom and dad that I did. I'm going to tell you straight up, Lonzo, if throwing the Lombardi trophy was the most embarrassing thing that Tom Brady ever does to his daughter got off the hook way lucky, my man. Way lucky. Way lucky. If that's the most embarrassed she ever is, she's going to be just fine. Just fine.
Yeah, and if they lived in a trailer court and not in a billion-dollar mansion or whatever, it would be a totally different story. That guy would need help. But because he's Tom Brady, that makes it acceptable. And you know what? It just, again, I think he can't sink any lower in my book. And then he does stuff like this. And yeah.
Oh, my God. Look, I got nothing against the imbibing. I am personally an occasional imbiber. I don't really care if a guy gets drunk once in a blue moon. It doesn't bother me. Whatever, live your life. I'm cool with it. And I think especially it calls for it after you've won Super Bowl number 7. Yeah, it was a dumb move to throw the Lombardi boat to boat. But again, if that's the most embarrassing thing he does to his daughter, she's gonna be okay. But I just, whatever. And you can, by the way, when he plays the video for him, I know you can't see it when you're watching the radio, listening to the radio. But when James shows him that video, he just is like, oh my God, I still can't believe I did that. Like I got to tell you, Zoe, you are exempt from this, but the majority of us have those moments in our lives that somebody goes, dude, this is what you did last night. And we go, oh no, why did I do that? I love it. Brady's a likable guy now, and America just has to get used to that fact. It just is what it is. All right, 844-GSP, ESPN. When we come back, could the Hornets be in play for a 2-time NBA All-Star? I'll give you the details on what's going on up there in Charlotte next. I'm Rob. He's the great one. Lonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Unless you are Tom Brady, Father Time's going to get you. That's just how the game works, man. Not just the game, but life. The game of life, not the board game, your actual life. The older you get, the slower your body is capable of healing itself. It's a fact, and it hurts. I mean that physically and metaphorically. It just hurts, and that's why you need to get in touch with the folks at QC Kinetics, because they know how the aging process works, and more importantly, They know how to slow it down and how to accelerate the way that your body heals it up. And maybe most importantly of all, they know how to do that without cutting you open. Have you been told that surgery is your only option? Yeah, we know your knee hurts. We need to scope it. We know your lower back's giving you problems. We need to go dig some stuff out of there and surgery. No, not anymore. There's a better alternative. It is non-surgical regenerative therapies from QC Kinetics. They offer the type of therapies that professional athletes have traveled in years past around the world to get. They have done it for years, and these athletes have done it because it works. It works for them. It'll work for you too. Go to their website right now, qckinetics.com. QCKINETIX.com. Learn all about the therapy and hear from dozens and dozens of patients who have felt better, faster, naturally with QC Kinetics. Or get yourself a free consultation. Call them right now, 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. Tell them the Rob Brown Show sent you. Get your consultation and let QC Kinetics help you feel better, faster, naturally. It's our friends at QC Kinetics.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update.
I got to remember to mute myself during those live reads.
Oh, you echoing?
No, I just, if I don't mute myself on this end, it goes out over the stream.
Yeah, well, there's that too. That's probably frowned upon.
I can talk through an echo. Like hearing myself back doesn't bother me at all. And scratch that. Bothers me very little. I just got to remember to turn it off so we don't send it out over the stream.
Yeah, I've had to deal with the echo a bunch before.
I got to ask, do we have to prevent the live reads from going out over the stream? I mean, now they're kind of pointless not pointless. I mean, they're still live reads. I don't know if it's like the worst thing in the world if a live read goes over.
Well, our commercials shouldn't go over the air, which happens on occasion,
right?
Because there are a lot of buttons,
Yep.
and I don't believe that lives are permissible.
Fair.
But we are in territory we haven't been in before.
Yup.
And I would err on the side of caution. Don't want to get flagged for something, which we've already done once. So, I mean, you know.
ESPN, the Chiefs would not invite Lonzo to a Super Bowl celebration.
Sure they would. I can have fun without drinking. It is possible. If you need drink to unwind, that says a lot about you. When I go around drunk people, I just act normal. Very few people have seen me act like me. I have to hold myself back. So what you need to do to unwind, I don't have to do that.
I think it becomes what a delicate situation here. I think people don't like to be judged is all it comes down to. And I think finding the line between where is Zoe sarcastically pooping on Tom Brady versus I go out and have drinks, would Lonzo hate me in real life as well, is a tough spot for some listeners to find themselves.
By the way, I don't hate anybody.
Oh, I know.
Even Tom Brady. I don't hate Tom Brady.
Judge me, not hate.
We all judge everybody daily. I mean, you judge whether you want tacos or whether, and you can say it's a choice, but you're still judging whether you want tacos or you want pizza. I mean,
ooh, that's a tough judge call.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes you can go with both depending on where you're going.
You ever had a taco pizza? They're delicious.
I love taco pizzas. My favorite pizza in high school was a taco pizza. And it wasn't the rectangle like the normal pizzas in school. It was round and the grease collected in the middle. So once you poured the grease off, it was really tasty.
When I was a kid and we had the elementary school rectangle pizzas, I don't know if anybody did this but me. I used to take the cheese and the mystery meat off of the pizza, eat the dough, and then eat the cheese and the meat separate. Is that how, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird is that? This is where you get to judge me.
Are you okay with your food touching?
Yeah, it's not like a food touching. I just liked the cheese.
Because that's some sort of phobia if it's the food touching thing.
No, it's not that. I don't care. Like, in fact, most of the dishes.
So you ate the part you liked last.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yes, I like the cheese
30
and
seconds.
the meat, so I would roll up the dough, eat the dough, or eat the pizza part, and then I would eat the cheese and the meat as a separate entity, only because I like the cheese and the meat, and the bland taste of the dough brought it back down to earth.
Come back.
9696.
Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
Text line hopping right now regarding Montana's FCS League, the fan-controlled league. ESPN sounds like flag football on steroids. It really does. It really does. And like I said, the more I think about it, the more it's growing on me, to tell you the truth. Rob, I now also hate that I like Tom Brady too. Steelers fam, Lonzo is a party pooper, quote unquote. I only read these about you, Zoe, because I love to listen to you respond to texters. I really do.
You don't drink, so you're a loser. Am I?
No, I don't think it's a you don't drink, so you're a loser. I think it's a you sound on the air. And I'll say this. Zoe knows that I'm a drinker. Zoe knows that I say dirty words. And Zoe and I say we're friends, right? We're friends, I think.
Absolutely. And I think people have this, I don't know, if someone's like me and frown upon certain things, well, you're a prude and you're old and you're old-fashioned and all this kind of stuff. It's like, okay, whatever. I mean, part of that's true. I'm older. I wouldn't say that I'm old. But I will tell you, I've been out a bunch. I've been to fraternity parties when I was in a fraternity. You can go there and not drink and still have fun. And all my friends drank, and I was designated driver, and I got to drive cars that were much better than mine. Mine was falling apart. I got to drive all the cars and drive it however I wanted because they would not remember.
Second text, this comes from Dave. Dave says, I do like Tom Brady, but I was really disappointed he got so drunk out in public for all to see. And Lonzo's right, a bad example for his child. Here's what I'll tell you. My dad was drunk in front of me a handful of times. And he was also the world's best dad. I loved my dad, and he embarrassed the hell out of me a lot. And I am better off for having had him as a dad. The only thing I'm saying is, to call Tom Brady's parenting skills into question is a spot where I'm like,
Well, see, I disagree. I think you absolutely do that because you are setting an example for your children. If you do it at home, that's one thing, but doing it in front of millions of people, that's totally different. That's saying, hey, it's acceptable to drink to the point where you cannot walk and have to have help. I think
you just needed a little
crutch. He had to have help. And whereas you have the fun-loving drunks, you also have the abusive drunks where I spent a lot of time around as a child, and I don't want to see that on anybody else. And who knows what Tom Brady's like at home. But you cannot, I will disagree to the ends of the earth that you don't set that kind of an example in front of your children. You just absolutely, it's one thing to do it, but it's something totally different for your children to be present while you're doing it. If you do it and your kids see it on TV and they weren't there and you go, hey man, I got a little carried away. Take this as a life lesson. Don't ever do this because I was wrong. I shouldn't have did it. But when they're right there and they're the only smart people present, that's a problem.
All right, let's get into this real quick. As the NBA trade deadline nears, the Charlotte Hornets appear to be one of the teams that are making money moves to get better. The Hornets have a dearth of young players. They have a lot of draft capital, and they've got pretty decent cap space. Shams Charania from The Athletic reported that the Hornets were among a small number of teams that have called the Orlando Magic, asking about center Nikolai Vucevic. The Celtics and Hornets are the two teams that have called about Vucevic, according to Charania and his sources. The thought is that if they were going to move on, if the Magic were going to move on from Nikolai, that it would be a huge haul of picks and capital to make it happen. And the Hornets likely have the capital needed to pull that off. Vucevic is in the midst of a career best performance, averaging 24.5 points, 11.6 boards, and 3.7 assists, shooting 48.3% from the field, 41.2% from the three-point line as a big man. The Magic, though, are just 13 and 23, have multiple young players for the future that could lead to them parting with the 30-year-old big man. For the Hornets, matching money would require the team likely to part with Cody Zeller, who is set to become a free agent this offseason. It would also require at least one draft pick and some combination of players likely headed by P.J. Washington or Miles Bridges, which I don't have any issue with at all. We talked earlier about Joel Embiid. We talked earlier about Nikolai Jokic out there in Denver. This guy in Vucevic is putting on almost equal numbers. He's not quite in that top line. He's not quite up there just yet with those two players. But if they are A tier, he is B+ tier and would open up the floor for guys like LaMelo Ball in such a big way. I love that MJ and the Hornets are looking into that move. I love that they are taking consideration of that move. And I really, really, really hope they pull the trigger. Vucevic is probably a guy that you're hanging on to for 2-3 years. But based on the core, based on the fact that the best ball brother is playing in Charlotte right now, even though Lonzo has stepped his game up for the Pelicans recently, the best ball brother is clearly playing in Charlotte right now. You pair him up with Nikolai Vucevic, and you've got a real opportunity. Zoe, I love what Michael Jordan has been doing with the Hornets. I thought they took a flyer on LaMelo. I wasn't excited about it. Turns out, don't question MJ when he judges talent. He clearly has an eye for it. And adding not just a veteran big man, but a big man who's putting up B+ numbers at that position. I don't need the offense to run through the center position like it does in Denver. I need it to run through the 1-2 spot, and Vucevic opens up the floor. I love what MJ's doing right now if they pull this trigger, Lonzo. I really do.
This is weird. The fact that it looks like Jordan's actually starting to make some good choices in Charlotte, and the team starting to come along and look like it might actually end up being a pretty good team. I hate to do this, but I'm worried he's going to do something to mess it up because he's owned the team for a while. Yeah, I mean, we know what he could do on the court and everything, but he hasn't done a great job as an owner. Maybe he finally gets it, or he surrounded himself with some people who are in his ear who finally get it.
What has been the perspective? What's been the view, the opinion on Michael Jordan as an owner here in the area? Has it been mostly positive, mostly negative, just kind of meh? What would you say?
He's still Michael Jordan. I mean, that just makes every other thing okay, that he's Michael Jordan. But, you know, there are jokes about him being an owner. And if there are jokes, that means people aren't exactly certain that he knows what he's doing.
Fair enough. Your thoughts. What do you think about Michael Jordan as the owner of the Hornets? And do you like this move he's pushing into? 844-GSP, ESPN 844-477-3776. Quick break. We'll come back. Another group of details from Deshaun Watch 2021. We'll drop those and then Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the...
I, by the way, did not reach the end of the episode of WandaVision. I have about 6 minutes left, and it is eating up at me right now based on where I had to drop out. It's a good episode, Lonzo, and I haven't even seen the end of it yet. And also 2 post-credit scenes.
I was going to say, don't mention it on the air, though, because then someone's going to jump on here and spoil.
Oh, yeah, my bassist texted me earlier, was like, I just finished the episode. It's incredible. And there's 2 post-credit scenes. So I'm expecting big things. And on top of that, I got to tell you, WandaVision set the bar for Falcon and Winter Soldier pretty daggum high, though. Like, really high.
Well, in all of the ones that were advertised to be coming out on Disney, WandaVision was the one I thought would be the hardest to be successful.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's been so good, that makes me think that the other ones are going to be even better.
Yeah, I agree.
Because at least with Falcon and Winter Soldier, you know pretty much it's what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
With WandaVision, we had no idea what it was going to be about.
No idea at all. WandaVision turned out to be, I was going to say unlike anything I could have thought it was, but I couldn't think of anything it was going to be like. We knew the premise was it's going to be like old sitcoms, and literally they did a great job, like a surprisingly good job keeping it under wraps.
I also saw that there's going to be a making documentary that will be coming out, I think next month.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I've watched all the ones for Mandalorian, and those are really, really good. Gives you an idea of what they were thinking when they went into making that. So I do know I've watched a bunch of things. I know they went to sitcom boot camp to learn how to do all this kind of stuff. So they put the work in, and it's been a great program. I am looking forward to a couple hours from now when I can finally watch it.
Yeah, the worst part is since I have to get in the car and drive home after this, I won't get to watch the end of WandaVision until I get down to Florida. Huzzah.
So you can't wait 10 minutes?
No, because I'm on a deadline to get down there, and I have about a 12-minute cushion to play with, including stopping to get gas on the road.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Now, if what happens to me last time I drove home happens this time, and Atlanta traffic is at a standstill for half an hour, I may very well get to watch it in the car because I was at 0 miles an hour for about 35 minutes last time I drove home.
Well, let's hope you don't get in that situation again.
Dude, it's the worst.
No way to get around Atlanta?
There is, but it adds 45 minutes onto the trip, so the only time that becomes worth it is like 5 o'clock Friday traffic, which is about when I'll be hitting through, so we'll see. You can take the cut around and wrap around, but it's like you get to Atlanta, and then to take the cut around, you have to backtrack north all the way around and then back up to the interstate. So it's like it doesn't really save you any time unless Atlanta traffic is just at like an hour plus traffic stall.
Gotcha.
What just happened?
Now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code radio50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
1 minute.
1 minute. Oh, yeah, Alex Smith got cut. I meant to bring that up earlier. That sucks. I hate that for him.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some places out there willing to take a chance on him because he played pretty well.
Yeah, I bring him as a backup maybe, but my only fear is your starter goes down, Alex Smith comes in, and then Alex Smith goes down. I don't like carrying 3 quarterbacks. It's a roster spot waste. Unless I bring in like a Tyson Hill or a Taysom Hill where I can play him as a special team / third stringer.
Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
Couple last stories before we hit Twitter trending topics on the way out the door. Zoe and I were talking about it during the break. Alex Smith has been released from the Washington football team. The 2020 Comeback Player of the Year is a free agent now. The Washington football team made it official earlier today. There was a report on Monday that the team would be parting ways for him after an injury to Kyle Allen and poor play by Dwayne Haskins. Smith took the reins, led the team to a 5-1 record down the stretch. It was enough to win the NFC East at 7-9 overall and earn a playoff berth. Smith turns 37 in May, wants to keep playing for the first time. He is a free agent. He's been in the league 16 years. First time he's ever been a free agent. Wants to keep going. I don't know, man. So, look, on one hand, I was remarkably proud of Alex Smith and all that he accomplished to get back on track for where he is now. And there's also a part of me that's like as happy as I was that he got back. I'm like, please stop, because I don't want to watch you go through that again. And on top of that, I don't know, man. If I'm a team and Alex Smith is a free agent, I thought to myself, well, maybe I'd bring him in as a backup. But my fear becomes Your starter goes down. Your backup is Alex Smith. He goes down. Now you've got to carry a third quarterback in case his leg explodes again. I hate to say it because I don't like telling another guy, don't follow your dreams, but I kind of hope Alex Smith decides to go ahead and retire and just become the legend that he is just for making it back on the field this season.
See, I get all that, but if he had come back and not have played as well as he did, then I'd be right there with you. But the fact that he came back and he played at a high level and showed that he could still win ball games for teams, including a team that was not very good with Washington.
Yeah.
If you put him in front of some decent players, who knows what he can do? And remember back when he was with Kansas City, he wasn't exactly a loser there. And he wasn't really a loser in San Francisco either.
Not at all.
This guy's been a winner wherever he's been. I think you take a chance on him. Maybe not as your starter, maybe what you said, maybe as a backup. But there again, if you're bringing in a young guy and you want to put someone in front of him, a la the way they've done with Fitzpatrick just about on every single team, do you put him out there and let him play while you get your young guy ready?
That's a good question. Maybe he's a placeholder. Maybe he's a placeholder. You draft a Mac Jones, and Alex Smith would be a great mentor if he wants to be. Problem you have is Alex Smith doesn't want to be a mentor. He wants to be a starting quarterback. And we've seen this happen with a handful of guys in the league where they go, I'm not coming here to be a mentor and turn my spot over. I'm coming here to be the man. And Alex Smith has that mentality. And just based on the fact that he made the comeback, it's pretty damn obvious to me that if Alex Smith puts his mind to something, he's going to make that happen. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. LA Rams defensive back Jalen Ramsey has been making the rounds. He got asked about Deshaun Watson, a guy he has a friendly relationship with. They played in a couple of Pro Bowls together. Well, Jalen Ramsey has spent time with Deshaun Watson in the past. He was asked by RamsWire.com about any insight to the situation that he has regarding Deshaun Watson and his threat to hold out. Ramsey told Cam De Silva of the Rams Wire, quote, he's extremely serious. At the end of the day, Deshaun is a great man. I can say that first and foremost. He's a great man. I'm telling you, a servant leader. Even now with people trying to crucify him and talk bad on his name, he's still out there doing things for the community, for Houston. He's a great man. He's a professional. He's going to do things that are still positive around the community and probably help his teammates after this. But I highly doubt he'll ever suit up in a Texans uniform again. He's very serious. I would say he's very serious. This is his legacy. He should be serious. Any stock in the comments of Jalen Ramsey, Zoe?
Just because you don't see him suiting up doesn't mean he's going anywhere. So maybe he sits out. Maybe he doesn't play. But I just do not think that Houston's going to trade him. And I don't believe Deshaun, despite what Ramsey's saying, I don't think he's that guy. I think if he's on a team, he's going to play.
So you're still on the holdout wagon?
I still am.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And finally, the last text just came in at ESPN. What about Blake Griffin hitting the free agent market? I think he's got his sights on bigger, but should MJ go for him? He's a Jordan Brand guy. He does have his sights on bigger, and as much as I like the direction the Charlotte Hornets are pointed in right now, they are not a championship caliber team. And I think that Blake Griffin is trophy hunting, frankly. I think he's trophy hunting. I think he's trying to get himself onto a contender. I think he's trying to get himself to a place where he can go play for a trophy this year. And I don't believe that that is a place. I think, as much as it pains me to say it, I think the Lakers are a potential landing spot down the road. And there are some other spots on better teams than Charlotte. I would love it. I think he'd be a good compliment, but I would rather have Vucevic if I was the Charlotte Hornets. Take a break. When we come back, Twitter trending topics, we talk about what you're talking about around the upstate. Lonzo tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you the 30 to 45 seconds about what I think about it. That's next on the Rob Brown Show. This, ladies and gentlemen, is ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the...
All right, got to make a quick phone call, so I'm going to send you, Zoe, to the command position. Have fun. Can't hear you. And we are back. Huzzah. Anything I need to mentally prepare myself in Twitter?
Come on. Do I actually come up with anything that would require that now?
Tony Khan was asked about what free agent Paul White was talking about, and Khan said that is, quote, one of my favorite wrestlers ever, end quote.
Telling you, it's Mick Foley.
It's not Mick Foley. I'd lose my mind if it was Mick Foley. That would be enormous, but it's not Mick Foley. You know who I really want it to be just for the lulz? Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that would do it for sure.
I just don't know if they have the money that Brock Lesnar wants to fight 3 times a year. When do they say they're announcing it? Next week, right?
It wouldn't shock me if they don't do it at the pay-per-view. That's what I thought he said.
Have somebody do a run-in. What do you know about this LA Knight character besides the fact that I hate his name?
He reminds me of the host of that show for men. You saying you don't see it?
I think if we bought him some blue sunglasses, he would wear them.
In demeanor, in action, and yeah, all that stuff. Can he wrestle? That's the question. I don't know. Can he? If you put a side by side up there and he had those glasses on, I'm telling you, one would look like the older version of the other, since that person may be listening, probably. But yeah, as soon as I seen him, I'm like, what? Hold on.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a resemblance now that I look at it.
And if he were a wrestler, he would be LA Knight.
Yeah, that I agree with that. I was thinking more reflective in demeanor, but yeah, he looks and acts like him.
Did you see the message on the Facebook or on the? I'm guessing they're talking about what we're talking about since it came in, right? Yeah.
I believe you are correct, and I agree with Tracy. Yeah. You know, I'm never really all that self-conscious because I don't really think of myself often, except when I'm telling everybody how great I am. For some reason, drinking from a bottle makes me self-conscious.
Topics.
All right, it is time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I will tell Rob Brown what is trending on the internets, and he will tell us what he knows about it. And first of all, let me answer his question. You should be self-conscious about how you drink water out of a water bottle because, you know, everyone is watching you.
If you join the stream, you know what we were talking about.
And everyone is watching you going, man, is that how you're supposed to drink out of a water bottle?
It's that panic moment where you realize you don't know how to do something that is completely commonplace when people are watching you.
Well, I usually eat something during the show, and I've been able to take myself off, or you've taken me off the camera, so as to not be, because if I eat in front of the camera, you're going to see it all because I'm going to do it on purpose because I can't help it. You know, and so I don't want to get that call to the office going, you know, when you eat, you probably should close your mouth, which I normally do, but there's a camera right there in front of me, and I want to have fun. All right, the first thing that is trending is today is Employee Appreciation Day.
It is Employee Appreciation Day. We got a very nice email from the boss, from the big, like our boss's boss this morning, and we appreciate that. But those of you who are business owners, thank the folks who work for you. Working is not easy, and the ones who do it and do it in a way that help your business be better, show a little love today, man. Show a little love.
Back in the day when there was, acceptable travel all over the place, the big boss has been here a few times.
Oh, really?
Yes, and with a Q&A with everybody in in the conference room, which is always fun because, people at radio stations really like to ask questions.
Yeah, that would also just turn into me relentlessly mocking their favorite NFL team and getting in trouble for it. But
Yeah, probably. And since I don't know what his is, but we could find out. All right, so the next thing trending, which is funny, if you were listening to the beginning of the show, the next thing trending is Adam Levine.
seriously?
Yes.
So that just goes to show the power that we here hold. We were talking about Adam Levine. Adam Levine said earlier, and I don't know why, that, quote, there are no bands anymore, which is hilarious because Adam Levine is, in a band.
Well,
so
if you look at it closer, he's saying other than his band.
Oh, gotcha. Well, yeah, definitely not the Foo Fighters and the countless other bands that are organizing music festivals around the country right now for when we come out of the pandemic. Adam Levine has gone for, and I'll let you judge me just a little bit. I really liked Maroon 5 back in the early to mid 2000s, right at the beginning of that. I really liked them. And then they got all pop rocky on me, and then they got all poppy. And Adam Levine has gone from, I thought, a potentially good new age frontman to just an egotistical you-know-what over the past couple of years, which is disappointing to me. Dave Grohl forever. Hashtag Dave Grohl forever.
I agree there. Adam Levine's okay. Maroon 5's okay. They were never the greatest to me, but they were tolerable.
Yeah, like I said, I liked them. I didn't love them. I wasn't going out of my way for Maroon 5, but when they were a rock band, they were good.
All right, the next thing trending, and not for what we were talking about earlier, is Tom Brady.
Well, if he's trending for another reason, I don't know what the answer is. I know that there have been discussions about Baker Mayfield claiming that he saw a UFO, and I saw earlier that Tom Brady may have said something about it. Does it have to do with that?
No, but now I got to look into that.
Yeah, right.
I want to know where Baker saw that.
Baker said he and his wife were in their car and they saw something hovering and then falling through the air, which he described as a UFO, which leads me to believe he just had a unique perspective on a meteor burning up in the Earth's upper atmosphere. But he is convinced, and then Colin Cowherd, of course, because every time Baker Mayfield does anything, Cowherd has to rip him because that's what he does. And then I thought that I had saw that Tom Brady weighed in as well. It may have just been that Cowherd does what he always does and said something dumb like, Tom Brady would never say he saw a UFO, so that means Baker Mayfield sucks. Get out of here.
That was dead on. I thought it was actually listening to Colin Cowherd. How could anyone like that guy? I don't get it. All right, so the reason why he's trending, is his rookie card. Tom Brady's rookie card just sold for $1.32 million.
I am all about baseball cards. I've had them for years. I'm fine with collecting, whatever. So the day you ever hear me say, I dropped $1,000 on a baseball card the other day, just punch me, dude. Just hit me right between the eyes because I've clearly been taken over by some kind of mind-altering parasite.
There you go. You've given me permission and the whole world heard it.
I'm now going to be inundated with people from around the upstate going, you want to buy a baseball card? Watch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I'll be in Florida next week, but I'll still be broadcasting with you. Mark Ryan and Diesel are up next for Offsides. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Those on the stream, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back Monday to try harder. Thanks to Zoe for all his hard work. Have a great day. Don't drink and drive this weekend. I'll punch you right in the face. See ya. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later. Thanks for watching on the stream, boys and girls. We'll see you next time.